We welcome you so warmly. We're glad to have you here. We know that we have our seniors, our colleagues, our distinguished panelists. Everyone has gathered around the table, and a very warm welcome to you tonight. We'll be kicking off in a couple of minutes. Please do bear with us. Maybe in another 5 minutes, we will be starting. So thank you for coming, for joining so early. We caught a couple of early joiners even before 5 o'clock, and we do appreciate you for that. So we'll be right back in about 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
fine. How are you? When do you start like? Eh? Much? Was telling me tomorrow night you start like.
Ms. Lasende, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good evening once again, our distinguished ladies and gentlemen. We want to acknowledge you and thank you for joining the second edition of the LAWBREED Conversation Series. Tonight's discussion is going to focus on, on money matters and the lawyer's well-being. So we're really delighted to have everyone joining in this evening, and we are glad to have you. We'll be taking some recognitions, including our panelists who we can see. Everyone is online right now. But before we do that, we'd like to have the opening remarks, the welcome address by the CEO of LAWBREED, who is no other person than our Leonard Silk, Chief Lai Babatunde, to take his welcome remarks. My Leonard Silk, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Lasende. It's my pleasure and singular honor to welcome our distinguished panelists, the moderator herself, and our colleagues to the second session of the LAWBREED Academy Conversation Series. We had the first session sometime in August this year. The topic was money matters and the lawyer's well-being, in which we had Otuba Femi Pedro and two other distinguished panelists talk to us. This evening, we are having the follow-up session. And I'm glad that we have the advantage of having with us this evening very distinguished panelists to speak to the issue on hand. Mrs. Tony Sunny, the GCEO of Enlighten of Emerging Africa Group, and President CIA. It's my pleasure to and I'm sure the moderator will do better than I'm doing when it's time to introduce. The moderator will do better than I'm done when it's time for her to do the fuller introduction. Dr. Yusuf Adiri is a new psychiatrist and the CEO of Pinnacle Medical Services. Dr. Yusuf Adiri, you are most welcome to have this. And my colleague and brother, well, I don't know, because we are two cars. You are an accountant and you are also a lawyer. Mr. Ajibola Olomola. Mr. Ajibola Olomola is a partner and the head of Bill Advisory, M&A Tax Services, KPN and G. Mr. Olomola, you are most welcome. I will try to be very brief with my remarks. The truth of it is that the entire world is challenged today economically. And I think the president made that point as much in his 60th anniversary broadcast. Our country obviously is even more challenged economically. That being the case, Nigerians, no doubt, we have a lot of challenges, economically and otherwise. But we believe that for us as lawyers, as we often say and believe, we learn every day. And today's webinar presents a very good opportunity for us to learn afresh some of the issues that will be discussed this evening. The truth of it is that even for those of us who have practiced for some time, by the grace of God, I've practiced law in Nigeria now for almost 40 years. When we came into the profession, nobody taught us about money management or financial literacy. Nobody talked to us about well-being. We were taught about the rules of our practice and what is expected of us as professionals. But over the years, I've discovered that if we don't get financial literacy and we don't learn how to balance our schedule with the pursuit of our profession and our health, then we run a very great risk. Between us, lawyers and doctors, I wouldn't know the group that is more, that works more under pressure in terms of emergency. Lawyers are contacted most times when people get into serious trouble. And most times, at that stage, it's worse than an emergency. Your clients will call you in the morning, they will call you in the evening, they will call you. But if they had a dream at night, they wake up, they will call you. If you didn't switch off your phone, and if you did, in the morning, they will complain that when they called me about 3 a.m., you didn't answer their call. But that shows how much pressure they are under. And they expect that the lawyer should do magic. We believe that if we don't learn how to take care of our health in such situations, then we run a very great risk. Then I also realized that the income that we make, if we are not careful, it may appear as if we are making a lot of money. But if we don't learn how to deal with it, as we get older in the profession, we will realize that we haven't made much of the opportunities that we have. Take for instance, we have a brief, we are paid 5 million. It looks like a lot of money when the client pays the money. But you are in the high court for 10 years. If you subdivide it, it comes to less than $500 million per annum as income on that brief. But having said that, thank God we have experts here that are going to assist us to navigate our way through these challenging times. If you make money and you lose your health, you get into bigger trouble. So it's important for us to learn how we are able to balance this. Before I sign off, I know some of our officers of the Nigerian Bar Association, they are part of this webinar. That's those of the recently inaugurated executive. The president of the MBA and his executive, they are promised to look into the rules of professional conduct in the legal profession. And I believe that one rule that we need to look at very carefully is Rule 7, which deals with engagement in business as legal practitioners. I believe it's time for us to look at the rules very carefully, given the realities of modern times, with a view to reviewing it. Mrs. Lassen, I'm sure you are looking at your your watch. Well, I would round off by welcoming you once again and appeal to you to please let's make the best of the opportunity that we have. Some of the panelists that we have this evening, to be honest, is not as easy. They are very, very busy people, extremely busy people. So for them to make out time to dialogue with us, to reason with us, I want to appeal to us that we should make the time worthwhile and make the best use of it. Once again, thank you and most welcome.
Thank you so much, my learned self, Mr. Lai Babatunde, SAN. We're really grateful for that warm welcome and the admonition. In fact, you've already set the tone for this session, and we do appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Now, a member of the team is supposed to take the introduction to LAWBREED. I don't know if Mrs. Lai Babatunde will be doing that or another member of your team, but that's the next item on the agenda. So while we're waiting for that person to pick the mic, I'll just reel out a couple of ground rules. We'll be encouraging participants to please drop their questions, their comments in the chat room. And if you want to say anything to any of the participants as they're doing their presentation, please use that space and we'll pick up your questions and comments from there, and we will be able to pass them on to the participants. Please, it goes without saying that we should mute our mic. I think we'll have the opportunity to unmute at some point if we need to raise our questions or seek for further clarification on anything. So please, let's use the chat room more this evening so that we can take everyone and have a smooth flow. Yes, Mrs. Lai Babatunde, is anyone taking the introduction to LAWBREED, please? You have to unmute yourself, ma.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you.
A very good evening, everyone. Thank you again for having this family time out. I will call it a family time out. A few of our friends who are not lawyers said, can they come? I said, no, this one is just for lawyers. It's a family time out. We needed to talk to ourselves Because when COVID came, it hit everybody, all of us alike. And then we as lawyers, we water. It is time for us to also be watered back. Once again, thank you for coming. Thank you to our wonderful panelists. Thank you to our learned silks, our other colleagues. Thank you for coming. About us, about LAWBREED Limited. By the grace of God, we are 20 years of LAWBREED Limited. And that was last year. And we thought of doing something for our customers, our subscribers. And we thought of having a webinar or a conference or a meeting to appreciate them and talk about some of these things. Somehow we couldn't do that. We thought we would do it this year. Unfortunately, COVID struck. But thank God that instead of just our customers, we were able to reach so many other lawyers. At LAWBREED Limited, what we do, we are publishers. We're actually the official publishers of judgments of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Of course, there are other publishers. We started out in 1999 to do that. And we are not just publishing the judgments of Supreme Court, we have some other practice books, law books to assist lawyers in their practice. About 10 years ago, we founded the LAWBREED Foundation. With the LAWBREED Foundation, we're able to reach universities, young lawyers, Nigerian law school. By the grace of God, we're able to give scholarships to some other indigent law students. And when COVID came, we had a lot of requests from lawyers. And that was when this topic came about. It was very obvious that we needed to take care of our financial situations as lawyers. We remember that we had actually registered our LAWBREED Academy some 4 years ago or thereabout, and we thought, okay, this is a good time to launch out and have this conversation series. And that is why we are here. So in the course of time, we will show you some of our products. Of course, we would like you to patronize us. But most importantly, it is a burden for us to equip Nigerian lawyers. And that is what we are striving to do. We don't want to just talk about law reports and constitution and what have you. We felt that it was high time we needed to know more about how to take care of our personal finances and our well-being. And we reached out to our very able experts who have graciously, without unnecessary burden on us, agreed to share our burden to talk to you today, to give you an insight on how to be better at money management. What are the options, or what are the other options for us as lawyers if we don't want to break the rules of professional ethics? So please get your paper and pen. I have mine here. I can tell you that these experts are loaded. I've listened to all of them. And I tell you that what you will gain from them today, it will be like you have gone to Harvard School, Harvard Business School. In fact, all of them are from Harvard, they are products of Harvard. So get your paper and pen. I will not take too much of your time. Later in the course of time, we'll tell you some of our other products that we have. But most importantly, today is about this webinar, this conversation about our money matters, about our well-being, and about how to navigate post-COVID. Of course, COVID is still in town, but at least the world has opened up now. But going forward, let the experts talk to us. You are most welcome. And permit me to thank our CEO, Mr. Lai Babatunde SCN, for all that he has done financially to make this dream to come to pass. And every October, we try to do something like this because October is his birth month. It's a birthday baby. So I'm thankful that this October we have done this again. I pray that all that we hear, we will not just hear, but we will make the most of it and make use of them so that we can actually become better people and become more. Thank you very much and have a good evening. Thank you, Mrs. Lasha Inde.
Thank you more. Thank you, Mama.
Mr. Isoni, I thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ajijola Olomola, our accountant and lawyer. Can you imagine? Accountant, lawyer, tax man. I want to thank Dr. Memunat Kadiri. We look for Dr. Memunat. We thank God we got her. You're most welcome, Dr. Memunat. I trust that you are going to do justice to the topic at hand. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you for coming and God bless us all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Adejoke Lai Babatunde. Thank you for building on the foundation that our learned Silk has laid concerning why we're here, as well as the background and the, the introduction to LAWBREED. Thank you for doing an amazing work. You've demonstrated that yours is a firm or a cause that keeps giving, and that's really close to the heart of God. So thank you for doing this. We really appreciate the team behind LAWBREED Academy and what you do to impact lives positively. God will reward you and the team. Thank you so much.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Right. So Money Matters Part 2 and the lawyer's well-being. We are about to go right in now. And while we're doing that, we still want to acknowledge, we see a lot of our learned seniors on the call. So we want to acknowledge you. Thank you for joining tonight. Our senior colleagues, our colleagues from all over. There's so many people here from all over Nigeria. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're going to start with Mrs. Toyin Sonny. I'm always so excited whenever I'm in a forum with her or you just at any event to just listen to her. You get to know why. She's my mentor, she's my leader, I call her a leader of leaders. There are some people that you meet and your life will just turn around, They will birth other leaders. They don't have any business with followers. Once you get into their domain, you automatically become a leader, either through tears or whatever, but you're forced to be a leader because of the influence and the impact they make, For me, Mrs. Toyin Sonny is one of Nigeria's brightest minds, honestly. And I'm always so proud. I'm always so proud to look up, to her as a role model, as a woman of God, as someone who is extremely passionate about people like me. Let me not go on and on, but I just love her so much. In 2017, Mrs. Toyin Sonny was declared the All-African Businesswoman of the Year at the CNBC Forbes Africa AABLA Awards and the Nigerian CEO of the Year by the Pearl Awards Board. Mrs. Sonny is an investment banker, an author with over 30 years experience. Proud to founding Emerging Africa Capital. She was Group Chief Executive Officer at United Capital PLC. Sorry. She was Group CEO at United Capital PLC. She's a fellow Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, fellow Chartered Institute of Secretaries, member Chartered Institute of Securities and Investment UK, and the president of Association of Corporate and Individual Investment Advisors Nigeria. Mrs. Sonny holds a first degree in law from the University of Ife, a master's degree in law from University of Lagos, and has attended the CEO program of the Lagos Business School and executive programs of the New York Institute of Finance, the Wharton School, and Harvard Business School. Mrs. Sonny is passionate about developing leaders and women, and is the founder of Women in Finance Nigeria and WIFNG UK. She serves as a co-lead ambassador for the Africa CEO Forum in Nigeria and on the boards for Women Working for Change, Transcorp PLC, among others. Distinguished seniors, Leonard Seal, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Tony Sonny to take her presentation. Ms. Sonny, you have 40 minutes, ma. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Biola. I don't know if I deserve all those accolades, but thank you for being so kind to me all the time. It's an honor and a blessing to have worked with you and to have you in my life. Thank you for being such a wonderful advocate and ambassador. I want to say good evening to the CEO of LAWBREED Academy, Mr. Lai Babatunde, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mrs. Adejoke Lai Babatunde, the other speakers on this program, other distinguished speakers whom I feel honored to be speaking alongside today, the persons of Dr. Maimuna Yusuf Kadiri and Mr. Ajibola Olomola. I also acknowledge Abiola Lasende, our moderator, distinguished colleagues, learned colleagues. I am a lawyer as well, and it's a pleasure to be in your midst. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us tonight. I hope I can add value in the little time that I have to address you. I'm going to try and speak, try and not use up the 40 minutes, if I can use a maximum of 30 minutes, because I have found that in these engagements, having time to answer questions is always very productive. And I'm going to appeal, if it is possible, if I can take my questions immediately after speaking, because I do have another appointment by 6:30. I will proceed to share my screen. Let me start by commending LAWBREED Academy for this great work that you're doing. It is quite instructive and impressive and commendable that you are not just about your business, but you are also interested in the well-being of your clients and indeed of all lawyers in the country. I pray that God rewards you for this great work that you are doing.
Amen.
So my topic is personal financial management for lawyers in the post-COVID-19 period. Historically, and I start by setting a little bit of the background, which is the COVID situation that we all find ourselves. So historically, crisis is actually the universe's way of challenging the health of an economy or the strength of an economy, the resilience of a country, even the existence of the human race. COVID-19 is bringing an awakening and causing a shift in all aspects of our lives. In so many ways, it's clearly a revolution. It's a war that we're fighting. It's an endurance test, and it's a stress test and complete paradigm shifting occurrence, all rolled into one. I mean, I don't have time to go into those details, but I'm sure all of us agree that it's a revolution. The way we do things, the way we work, our ways of life, the way we socialize, the way we get married, the way we bury our dead, the way we engage with one another, the way we do business, everything has been revolutionized by COVID-19. It's also a war. It's a battle for our lives. I don't know how many of us know, but I am a COVID-19 survivor. And I know what it was like when I and 4 other people close to me were, suffering from this. It's an endurance test, and it's a stress test. So as an individual, only the fittest will survive. As a business, only the fittest will survive and will thrive. as a lawyer, I dare say, and in terms of your personal finances as well. So this is an endurance test and a stress test. And I pray that all of us will pass this test in flying colors. And that's why I appreciate what LAWBREED is doing, giving us an opportunity to equip ourselves to be at our best in confronting this challenge that we're facing. There is no better time to be talking about our economy and our well-being than now. So now, to set the background for what I'm going to be sharing, contrary to what many people think, I think the study of the law and being a lawyer provides an excellent background for business, investment, and finance. Contrary to what people think, I think lawyers should be the best business people, should be the best investment advisors and investors, and should actually be the best people of finance. Background in, to be honest with you, apart from my professional education, my professional training, and my executive training, all of my formal education is in law. My first degree is in law from the Obafemi Awolowo Law University, was University of Ife then. My master's degree is in law as well from the University of Lagos. So all my education is in law. And today, by the grace of God, I am an investment banker, and whilst being humble, I make bold to say that I'm good at what I do. And I'm able to solve investment banking problems for people, provide very viable financing solutions, and solutions that a lot of our peer organizations and my peers have tried to work at. We closed the transaction successfully yesterday, which I am aware that people have been trying to close that kind of transaction for the last, maybe for the last couple of years. And candidly, I will say about 65% of what enabled me to provide that solution that most of my peers had not been able to provide was because of the perspective and the paradigm that being a lawyer gave me. So when you bring a lawyer's mindset into financial transactions, you begin to see beyond what the average banker would see, in terms of how you can use vehicles, in terms of how you can use separate entities, in terms of how you can use, separation of, levels of ownership in the same in the same assets, and types of title and ownership in the same assets. All these things, you put it to use, you find out that you are actually a better banker and a better finance person. So one of the things I'll be urging everybody listening to me today to make up your mind that from today you're going to disabuse your mind of is that feeling that because I'm a lawyer, I'm disadvantaged in financial transactions, I'm disadvantaged in finance and investment matters. I actually think law and mathematics are both driven by analytical minds. The best lawyers, the best mathematicians are people that have analytical minds, and it's the same deductive reasoning that helps you to be good at both. So beyond your active income, practicing as a lawyer, you need to target passive income. Passive income is income that will continue to drop, the alerts that will continue to drop into your account, whether or not you go to work, whether or not you work in your chosen profession. So our target here, what I'm hoping I will share with us and the value we will get from it, is how we can create passive income. So your job often can't meet your needs. I think things are getting better, but the last I checked, lawyers were not necessarily some of the most highly paid people around. But I know that things are changing, and I know that it's getting better, and it will keep getting better. But even in the best professions, usually your take-home pay can't take you home. So you have to have other sources of income, what is called multiple sources of income. So understanding financial markets, financial instruments, and assets will be the way to start trying to create a personal economy that enables you to thrive even in difficult times like this. One of the challenges we're facing right now is that inflation is now above 13%. And so it means that anything you are investing in has to earn higher than 13%, otherwise you are losing money in real terms. That's what it means. So it becomes very, very important at this time to be able to think beyond, I left my money in the bank. Because right now, at the same time, I'm sure we all know that central bank has last month effectively cut interest rates to 1.25% by saying that interest rates will now be 10% of the monetary policy rate. So that brings it to 1.25%. In that range. So, and you have inflation at over 13%. So this is a time where we must have our thinking hats caps on, because even when your money is sitting in the bank, unfortunately, it's not gaining value, it is losing value. It's losing value because it's earning an interest or a return that is lower than the inflation rate. And that means that what that money can do for you a few months down the line, a year or two down the line, will be much lower than what it could do when you put it in the bank. So the secret, therefore, is in both managing your earnings and learning to earn more. So I'm hoping that, you know, as we put to use some of the things we'll discuss here, of course, we don't have enough time to discuss all the principles, but I hope I can stimulate enough interest for all of us to go back and seek to know more, and also approach investment advisors and experts to help us so that we learn. On one side, you challenge yourself to know how to manage the earnings that you have, and then you want to learn to earn more. So you must maximize. By the way, I'm a woman, and not only am I a woman, I am the president of Women in Finance Nigeria. And one of the things that I like to challenge everybody that listens to me is to face is that your gender is not an excuse for anything. If you're a woman, it's not an excuse for not knowing about finances, for not being able to invest your money and not being able to manage your money. If you're a man, it's also not an excuse to say, oh, you know, I'm a man, I have a lot of responsibilities, my, you know, remote family, my extended family, the society, the base outside. When I go out, people are calling me for this. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse for your money to be like a, you know, your finances to be like, you know, a basket and everything just slips out. I think that each gender comes with its own strengths, and you must learn to maximize the strengths that your gender brings. I think the strengths I have found with men will be sometimes in the line of budgetary discipline. And I think the strength I have found with women will be many times multitasking. So can you combine those strengths, for example, as a family? I think one of the luckiest couples here, or the luckiest couple here, are Mr. and Mrs. Babatunde, because they're both here and they're both working together and facing in the same direction. And they can put both the budgetary discipline and the multitasking, put it all together. And I think we can see that synergy at work already. That's why we're all here. Okay, so we're in for a tough ride. IMF growth forecasts. These are the growth forecasts. And by the way, this was as our Q2. The forecasts are even more, they're even scarier now. They've been adjusted further. But for 2020, there is almost nowhere in the world except India, India and China that are progressed, that are projected to have some return or some growth. But even then, it's very, very small. Most of the rest of the world is projected to not be growing, but actually to be in recession. And the growth projection for 2021 then get better. So how should you respond at this time? We need to take ownership of the situation of your finances, recognize that yes, there's a global pandemic and there's a global economic challenge that the world is facing, but it's global, but yet it's personal to you as well. In other words, we can't, you know, fold our arms and twiddle our thumb and say, well, the whole world is facing it. It is personal to you. Settle in your mind that recession doesn't mean nobody is making money. It only means that you can no longer make money many times in the way you used to make money. Only a new set of people or people acting in a new way can make money in this situation. So you need to understand what is it that people are now doing to make money. So accept and take advantage of the cyclical nature of markets. I always tell people that markets are cyclical. What that means is that the same wheel, I mean, all of us are familiar with a tire or a wheel. By the way, you can see a picture behind me and you can see that circular thing. That's a wheel. Every wheel, as you move a wheel, the same movement that turns a part of the wheel up is the same movement that turns another part of the wheel down. So what that means is that as people are losing money and, as it were, hemorrhaging money, individuals and businesses today, because it is a wheel and a cycle, that money that they are hemorrhaging and they are losing is not disappearing into nothingness. It's not going into the earth. It's not blowing up in smoke. It is going into somebody else's pocket. And that is the reality of it. Markets are cyclical, finances are cyclical. Any money that you are losing right now, you are not losing it. It's not going up in smoke. It's going somewhere else. So if, for example, we're spending more money on medical treatment and we're spending money on more drugs, it means that money is going into healthcare and pharmaceuticals. It's not disappearing. So you just have to learn to follow the money in your investment decisions. A lot of money we're spending on cybersecurity or ICT on Zoom is not going, it's not disappearing. It's just going into ICT. So are we investing in those areas? You know, so that's the point, that markets are cyclical. And one of the things that has helped me in my business is that I recognized this a long time ago. So I have a very diversified business. We have 4 businesses in the Imagine Africa group. We have an investment banking business that raises capital for companies that need funds. We have an asset management business that manages money for people that have excess money. We have a trust business that helps people to decide how to dispose of their money over time and also protects the interest of investors in public instruments. And finally, we have an investment advisory and investment facilitation business that essentially opens doors to investors and helps them to connect with new markets and connect with African markets. What are we trying to accomplish? I find that especially 2 lines of my business move almost in opposite directions. So when people are broke, they are they may not have much money, new money to bring to you to manage. So asset management may seem not to be doing well. But you find out that those same corporate clients now need someone to raise money for them because they now need to borrow to show up their needs. So what am I doing? My advisory business is there waiting to support them in those needs. So we all need to, I would encourage everybody to kindly mute their phones unless you are the speaker. And I think for now, I'm the only speaker. So if the organizers are able to mute everybody except me, I will appreciate it. If there's a control by which you can mute everyone except me, that would be amazing. If you mute everybody and then unmute me alone. Okay, so as I was saying, so once you understand the markets are cyclical, as one is going up, another is going down, your eyes should be on which aspects, areas now are going up. And I'll talk about it in a little while. So yes, there's a recession, but it's an opportunity to think in an expansionary way of how you can fight your way out of the recession. And I like to say here that all behavior is belief-driven. Innovation is belief-driven. People are innovative because they have made up their minds that there is a solution. Solutions can be found. New things can be done. Something new is happening. If you tell yourself that there is no solution, then nothing will happen. So investing smartly is not something you have. It's not something you have because you studied banking or whatever. It's something you learn and you do, and everybody can learn it. So what we're going to be talking about is how we can deploy learned habits to improve. I'm going to move faster going forward. So my recommended attitude is don't be too risk averse. Remember the Pareto principle. There's 20% of activities that generate 80% of results. So this is a time for you to be on the lookout for the 20% activities that will give you the 80% results. Personally, I made up my mind when COVID-19 started that I will put, a lot of people were rushing, looking around to how they can save money, conserve, don't spend, don't spend, don't spend. Unfortunately, you don't build wealth by not spending. The most that you can do is that, yeah, you conserve a little bit, but whatever was not in your hand before cannot get into your hand by your refusal to spend. So I said I was going to put 20% of my attention into cutting costs, 80% of my attention into earning more, because I knew that the way to go was to earn more. And by the grace of God, in our business, we have done much better during this period than we did in the same period last year, because we were not just, so being too overly risk averse can be harmful. So prioritize, conserve cash, but you are conserving cash so you can invest in the right things. Because conserving cash alone will not get you to where you need to go. Scout investment opportunities carefully. And I dare to say that statistics all over the world have found that the rich still give more than anybody else. And now when I say the rich give more than anybody else, I'm not saying in absolute terms, because you will tell me that they have more to give, but even in proportion, in percentage terms. So my candid opinion is that COVID-19 is not an excuse for you to stop getting involved in charity, in corporate social responsibilities. Somehow or the other, the most money still end up finding its way into the hands of those who are giving and who are providing solutions to problems. So that's something you need to know. And finally, on this recommended attitude, I say give yourself permission to fail. So try new things. If you fail, so you fail, you start again. So in terms of your personal finance, I said you need to address all these aspects and to revise your personal budget. So you need to look at what may fall. Salaries may fall, they're already falling. Dividends from your usual investments may fall, they've fallen. Income on disposal of shares may fall. What should rise? Your savings and your investments should rise. Your spending on data will rise. Your training, digital may rise, and also on nutrition and healthcare and power and water. But then what do you seek to earn more on? On the left side, look for ways in which you can introduce digital sales into your whatever you're doing. Somebody will have to explain to me how that can work with legal practice. I know that you are not lawyers, cannot openly, do digital advertisement like everybody else. But I think the webinars, the things that you do to create visibility constantly, to be in the face of the market, the knowledge sharing, initiatives, they're very powerful ways in which you can put yourself in the mind, top of mind of potential clients. So digital sales and marketing, online training, ebooks, webinars, home. By the way, this is a time for publications from your law firm, and all that. And so for others like me, some of the things at the bottom there. So what can you save on? All the money you're not spending traveling, office rent. I mean, my personal experience with office rent is that today about 40% of our staff work from home. I work from home permanently. I seldom go to the office. I go if I must. I work from home, and I found that about 40% of my staff work from home, and they are extremely productive. In fact, it's the most productive personnel that we decided to stay at home, because we find that these guys are self-motivated and they don't need anything to keep them going. Now, we used to have 2 buildings. So I called my landlord and said to him, we're not going to be using the front building again. And that was the part that had my own office. And I wanted, to send home a message to people, even though we're making more revenues this time, that doesn't mean we should spend money we don't have to spend. So we gave up that part of the premises, and we're only using the rear building. And that's where the people that go to the office every day were. So you can save on office rent. You can save on travels. We had people traveling all over the place. Now we just take Zoom meetings, and it's just as good. You can save on fuel, on, of course, parties, clubs, wedding, and all that, fashion, beauty, and conventional training. We can now every week we have training. All our staff are trained every week. We now find out that we can deliver the same training via Zoom, and everybody is fine. We don't even have to buy lunch for participants. Everybody buys their own lunch at home. So there's a lot, that we can do with this period. So in going towards the end, so about my company, I've said it, we're an investment banking group, and we have a full range end-to-end investment banking, asset management, trusts, and financial advisory services. We've been in business for 9 years because we started as a private trust business, and then almost 3 years ago, we then turned into a group and formally set up a formal structure. And that was when I retired officially from my former life. I'll just mention our belief system is that our clients' goals should be achieved. That's what we work, we dream, we live, just to make sure that the goals of those we work with should be accomplished. And our core values are excellence, ambition, collaboration, and growth. So for me, we need to know that wealth is a little more than money in the bank. It is actually very related to well-being. The word wealth itself was coined out of well and well-being. So that's why I'm very happy about this, and that we're going to be doing the medical and the other aspects of well-being, even today, including the mental well-being. So making money is not the same as building wealth. Building wealth is a multifaceted discipline that transcends earning and investing money. Wealth building is the process of generating long-term income through multiple sources. And so it's more than your job-based income. And it's a good way to secure a strong financial future, not only for yourself, but for those coming behind you. Why do you need to build wealth? Financial security impacts every aspect of life, both personal and professional. So it opens doors to professional possibilities. Wealth gives you more choices as you consider how you can position yourself for success. For legacy making, generational wealth. For financial security, money worries can be a source of distraction. I'm sure all of us don't want that. And lifestyles and family needs become affordable. So the capital market in which I operate offer various forms of investments, mutual funds, derivatives, preference shares, equities, and debt instruments. I'll talk a little bit about each of them as I seek to round up. So, debt instruments, and I have a feeling you are lawyers, so everybody here knows what a debt instrument is, so I won't define it. I'll just tell you the types of debt instruments that we deal with: bonds, debentures, leases, certificates, bills of exchange, promissory notes. One of the more common and exciting ones now are Eurobonds. And the reason the Eurobonds are interested in is because they're dollar denominated. And in a situation in which our Naira seems to be falling, consistently, everybody wants to have an investment that still taps into the higher returns you have in Nigeria, but at the same time is denominated in dollars. So not only do you have dollar Eurobonds now, you now have Eurobond funds, which are funds that are built, made up of which, one of which we offer, made up of Eurobond investments. So you can still earn returns that are closer to Nigerian returns, but your funds, and both the principal and the coupon, are in dollars. Then you have equities. I wouldn't define equities to lawyers, I'll just leave that. And then mutual funds or collective investment schemes are also some of the ways in which you use a vehicle to pool different professionally on behalf of all of them, and can range from derivatives to real estate investments to hybrids to artwork, gold and precious stones, exchange traded funds, private equity funds, venture capital funds, and angel investments. A derivative essentially is an investment that derives its value from an another underlying investment asset. I'm trying to move fast because I need to keep to my promise on time. So building wealth through the capital market entails making the money, saving the money, investing in the money in some of the assets we've talked about, and having a very clear plan. Your plan must say how you're going to make the money, how you're going to save the money, and then how you're going to invest the money. And of course, how you will review the investments periodically. So in terms of, you must differentiate between short-term investments and long-term investments. It's not everything that is suitable for you for a long-term purpose that is suitable for a short-term purpose. So your short-term investments will be your cash, your treasury bills, your fixed deposits, commercial paper, essentially fixed income investments. I pointed here that NGN, Naira is falling, so you should lose your appetite for imported goods. And commercial real estate market is also not so exciting now for the same reason why I gave up some of my office space. And it's not the time to sell your Forex, because until we see a clear indication that our economy will grow consistently over time. Our long-term investments will be bonds, equity in companies. And which kind of companies? E-commerce companies, food value chain, grocery stores, training, ICT, artificial intelligence, data analytics, branding, digital platforms, consumer staples. These are the businesses that will thrive even at a time like this. So invest in what can be exported also, especially across Africa. With AFTA coming up, this is an opportunity for all of us to look at. And by the way, one of the great things that Nigeria exports is services. So this is not a bad time at all for lawyers, the big law firms, to look at what they can do in the rest of Africa, exporting the excellence that we already enjoy here to the less developed markets across the continent. So, of course, intellectual property, agribusiness, consulting, ICT services, these are some of the things that we can export across Africa. And of course, solid minerals as alternative to oil, which has not served us well in recent terms. So, On that note, I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to share my thoughts with you. I hope I have not exceeded my time. I hope I still have time for questions and answers. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Mrs. Sonny. We are so grateful for the words you have shared, for the very, very insightful presentation. You know, for me, I've written volumes, but I'm just going to try, or rather attempt to maybe pick a few points from what you have shared. We really thank you. So we do that before we go on to take questions. You have started, you started by saying that COVID-19 is a revolution, therefore is a battle for survival. And we have seen that demonstrated in various aspects of our lives. And you've encouraged us that, look, it's a stress test, an endurance test, and only the fittest indeed will survive. So therefore, we need a complete paradigm shift, a complete mind shift from where we used to be, you know, pre-COVID, to something a lot more, revolutionary in our thinking and thought pattern. We need to begin to interrogate our thoughts. It's important for us as lawyers, as people who really desire to do well and avoid some money worries, like you put it, for us to understand financial markets, instruments, and also financial assets. And of course, how to leverage these assets and take advantage of the tremendous benefit from using them. And then you sounded a note of warning that our agenda is not an excuse for us to hide under anything. But indeed, we must learn to maximize our strength and use them very, very positively. And for the way forward, that we should take ownership, we should know the cyclical nature of the financial markets, and of course, we should follow the money. Yes, we can learn how to invest smartly by looking for the right information, the right network, and just taking full advantage of all of these platforms. And for the recommended attitude, we don't just want to build wealth by doing nothing, but we must also, we must not be too risk adverse. That means that we must learn to just, diversify and take some risk as we learn to, change our mindset about investments. And of course, we need to evaluate our personal finance in all aspects. What is working well? What do we need to stop, start, or continue to do? And then some of your passing short is that we should avoid money worries, and that we should know that wealth is not only what we have in our bank accounts. Wealth is actually a journey, and we must be deliberate about this. Put a lot of intention and active, thinking into how we build wealth, because it traverses all areas of our lives. And then you also advise that we should make, save, and invest money with clear plans. Clear plans, I beg your pardon. That speaks really to me that sometimes even setting a budget for a month for some people is a struggle. We just don't think it's possible for us to just say, this is what I'm going to spend for grocery, this is what I'm not going to spend. And when anything comes up, we should say no, because it's what we have budgeted and what we will not do. So thank you so much, Ma. That is a quick summary of what you have said tonight. So instructive, absolutely insightful, and we're so grateful to you, ma'am. I'm going to look through the chat room and see if we'll have a couple of questions. Wow, we have quite a number of accolades, commendations instead. Okay, I can't pick any question from the chat room.
I can see a question. Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please, ma'am.
It's from Adetola Adegbayi. Okay. It says money is secular and a means of exchange. If businesses are not thriving because of COVID, interest rates are down, living expenses are up, what are the investments that lawyers should consider? And how can financial security be assured for those with low risk appetite? Okay, I'm going to start from the rear. So how can you assure financial security if you have a low risk appetite? So what I will say to you is this: if you have a low risk appetite, in the short term, you may have a semblance of financial security, because what you will do is you'll typically put your money in fixed deposits, in treasury bills, in commercial paper. They will give you, your principal will be assured, and they will give you low interest. And in the short term, to the extent that your principal is in your account and your interest is in your account, you will appear to have financial, security or stability. The problem will be that in the medium to long term, when you then juxtapose the rising rate of inflation in our market against what you're earning. So if you're earning 6% on your investment and inflation is at 13%, you are not earning 6%, you are losing 7%. That's the reality of it in terms of long-term value of your money, real value of your money, especially if you are investing for the medium to long term. So that's where the challenge will be. Your first question was, what are the areas lawyers should invest in? And I think I addressed that by saying, and by the way, lawyers are no different from other people. So it sounds nice to say areas lawyers should invest in, but the reality is areas people should invest in. So what are the areas people, Nigerians, should invest in? You should invest in sectors and areas that are weathering this storm better than others. So this is not the time to invest in hotel and hospitality. This is not the time to invest in air, in aviation. But this is a good time. In fact, the whole of transportation is being hit, but some will recover faster and better than others. But you can invest in ICT, and I'll share some of the areas that we as a company have. So we have funded certain things in the last 6 months. So we funded an ICT company because they saw increased demand for their services across their clients. They serve about 14 banks, and these banks, of course, are increasingly more dependent on technology. So we funded an ICT company. We have done something in the power space, because whatever happens, there will be power. People will need power, need electricity. And then with the outlook that electricity rates will finally go up, it also means that sector becomes a little more attractive. We've done some stuff in healthcare simply because COVID-19 has brought the vulnerability of all of us to the healthcare sector and the huge gaps that are in that sector, and government itself is pumping money in that sector now. So we've done stuff in healthcare. So that's another sector you can invest in. Anything digital. Imagine if, I had a share of Zoom, by April, Zoom shares had risen by over 100%, By now, I've lost, I stopped tracking at that stage, anything digital, digital platforms, it's a fantastic time to invest in it. Agribusiness, people will always eat. So there are some stocks that are regarded as defensive, some are regarded as counter-cyclical. Defensive are those that whatever happens, they win. So that's where you have food. That's where you have agribusiness. Whatever happens, people have to eat. Then you have those that are actually moving in the opposite direction to what is happening to all of us, which is where you will put ICT and the digital technology, because we are losing, they're gaining. Everything, our loss is their gain. The whole world's loss is the gain of the ICT industry. So those are the, and remember we said follow the money. Every money that you are losing, somebody is gaining it right now. So just sit down and do the analysis. Who are those who are clapping all the way to the bank now? Those are the sectors you should invest in.
Thank you very much, Ma. We really appreciate that. I have another question here. How has COVID-19 impacted investment in real estate?
I spoke a little bit about real estate, but I'll talk about it now. So COVID-19 has significant impact on real estate across the world, and I'll talk about it. One of it is reduced demand for office space, because more organizations are looking at flexible working, home working, all the things that we said we were not ripe for. We now suddenly realize that we can do it and the sky will not fall. So that's the first one. If you look at residential real estate, I will not say it is causing that to go down, but it's causing a shift in the nature of the demand for residential real estate. So prior to now, it was imperative for everybody to live as close to central. We locked up our house in VGC, and moved somewhere we thought was closer to where work is, simply because we just got tired of every day, the hours and hours in traffic. If I had known, if COVID-19 had happened before now, we would not have moved, we would have stayed, because the space we have there and, you know, everything, we don't necessarily have it. You understand what I'm trying to say? So the demand to live in the center of the city, that is going to shift. So property, real estate in the heart of, you know, that took their value from, this is central London, this is Victoria Island, this is Ikoyi. It's not so hot anymore. Everybody doesn't have to live there. You can live in Ogun State or live anywhere because you're working from home now. A lot of people are working from home now, and most people don't need to go out. So those are some of the impacts on real estate. So shifting demands, you know, from the center of the city to the suburbs and all that. So that's how it affects. And for residential, you see how it affects it as well. And then retailing is more interesting, logistic is more interesting. So there's more interest in warehouses and, you know, those kind of storage facilities and all that. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely, ma. Thank you so much. I think that should be the last question for you. So on that note, on behalf of LAWBREED Academy and the entire team, we would like to thank you so much. I know that you may be dropping off at any moment, so maybe I can call on my learned self, Mr. Lai Babatunde, to just say a quick thank you before we move on to the other speakers, knowing that you'll be going off. My learned self, sir.
Yes. Mrs. Lashley, I'm not sure I heard the last part of what you said.
Yes, sir. I said Mrs. Sonny will be going off now in a couple of minutes because she has another engagement by 6:30. I'm very conscious of that.
I guess that's why I didn't hear you right.
Yes, sir.
Usually I only want her to leave. Maybe that's why I didn't hear the entire. Sometimes you only hear what you want to hear.
Please forgive me, sir.
Honestly, we can't thank you. We can't thank you enough. We can't thank you enough. I've taken it to heart that I should follow the money. As you follow, that's a good point to start. And the question about the real estate actually came from me because it's of interest to me, and I believe that you have more than satisfied my curiosity in that aspect. So many things to take away, so many points to ponder on, and I think I'll be speaking for all of us if I say we really appreciate your being here. It's the most valuable period spent with you. And I can assure you that even when this webinar is over, I hope you wouldn't mind if your phone starts ringing for more follow-up questions and for business. Once again, I want to say a very big thank you to you, Mr. Sunny. And we really appreciate your presence. We thank you for the valuable insight that you have given us this evening. And I can assure you that it will endure to produce positive results in our lives and our businesses as well. Please extend our best wishes and kind regards to your colleagues in the office, and associates, and most importantly, the family as well. Because if they were not agreeable to your being here today, there's no way that would have been possible. So I believe that they also have made some sacrifice for you to be here. And before you go, on behalf of all of us, I will say to you once again, happy birthday and many happy returns. Happy birthday once again and many happy returns. God bless you. Thanks so very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. God bless you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Viola. Excellent moderation as always.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, we have a comprehensive list of some personalities with us that we would just like to recognize as we continue with this program. We would like to recognize Mr. Yusuf Ali, SAN. He's with us tonight. Thank you so much, sir. We'd also like to take Dikindele Additional SAN, we welcome you, sir. Chief Wale Taiwo SAN is also with us. Thank you so much for joining, sir. Mr. Niyi Olopade SAN, we appreciate you, sir. Then we also have the National Secretary of MBA, Mrs. Joyce Odua, my own sister. We're glad to have you. As well as Mr. Adegbite, the former National Welfare Officer, MBA. We thank you all for joining. We're so delighted to have you join us tonight. Thank you so much. We'll continue with the program now by taking the next speaker. I would like to introduce Mr. Ajibola Olomola is the partner and head, Deal Advisory, M&A Tax and Financial Services, KPMG Advisory Services. Mr. Ajibola Olomola is partner and head of Deal Advisory, M&A, Merger and Acquisition, Tax Services and Financial Services for KPMG in Nigeria, and the head of the Deal Advisory. He's also the General Counsel and Head of Technology, Media and Telecoms line of business of KPMG Nigeria. He has garnered over 29 years of delivering value to clients across various markets within Nigeria, Africa, and of course, globally. Having spent the first 10 years of his career as a litigator at a leading Nigerian commercial law firm of time, and subsequently qualifying as a chartered accountant, Mr. Olomola provides practical, balanced, and business support advice to clients. Mr. Olomola has served as the lead regulatory partner, working with the Central Bank of Nigeria in reviewing and formulating the current regulatory framework for banking licenses in Nigeria. He was the regulatory team lead on a project with the Bureau of Public Enterprises to review the framework for power sector delivery in Nigeria, designing a new framework, including legislation, and achieving the eventual unbundling in 2011 of the electric power sector in Nigeria. Distinguished Leonard Silks, our distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to welcome Mr. Ajibola Olomola to also take us on the topic Money Matters Part 2. Mr. Olomola, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, Mrs. Lashende. I hope you can all hear me and see me.
Yes, we can. We can hear you and see you, sir.
Awesome. First order of the day would be for me to apologize to you all in that I had hoped to have arrived at a location where I could speak to you in a very engaging manner. But as you probably can all see, I'm still stuck in my car trying to get to that location. So what I've done is to pull into a parking lot where I can make this delivery to you all. Forgive me. And I should also thank especially Lionel's Milk, Mr. Layi Babatunde SAN, for the very kind invitation extended to me to speak to you on a topic that is extremely important to all legal practitioners, and not just legal practitioners, to all business people in Nigeria in the circumstances of the ongoing pandemic. I thank LAWBREED, I thank Mr. Babatunde SAN, I thank Mrs. Babatunde for the kind invitation extended to me. If you will permit me a minute, I will share my screen so that I can walk through the presentation that I have prepared for today's event. The topic of this presentation is to talk about business resilience, surviving the pandemic. Without a doubt, the COVID-19 pandemic has been a significant watershed in the lives of almost everybody in the world, with the current infection rates globally and number of dead people globally from the pandemic. Nigeria has not been spared, and from March of 2020, Nigeria has been on lockdown pretty much up until last week, when we are beginning to ease out of the lockdown. So the outline of my presentation would be to talk about the areas in which I think the pandemic has affected law firms specifically, and then provide practical tips for surviving the pandemic. And some of those have been covered by Mrs. Toyinsa in a very in-depth and very deep presentation, but I will expand on some of the themes that she has spoken about in a bit of more detail. Then we'll talk about the future, because like she also said to us, the economy moves in a cyclical manner. And so we need to understand the various life cycles of every economy and have a view of how to be better prepared for the next pandemic so it doesn't catch us napping. And then I'll speak about another pertinent issue, which are the opportunities that are now emerging for the legal profession, arising not only from the pandemic, but also from goings on in the recent economy. So how has the pandemic affected law firms? We know that from about April of 2020, several courts could not work any longer, and so courts had to go on recession and adopt very limited protocols for working and for keeping the provision of services to litigants. What that then means is that the venue for most lawyers to practice their trade and earn a living became significantly reduced on account of the severe restrictions that were imposed on everyone by COVID-19. And so one of the key challenges that law firms started to face was soaring bad debts. Not because we didn't have clients or we didn't have clients, but because we now had a lot of cash-strapped clients and clients that were facing adverse business challenges. May I please ask that people who are not presenting can please mute their screen so that others can hear me a bit clearer, because there's some vocal feedback. So we had a lot of people experiencing cash flow problems. Could you please help mute the gentleman who has left his mic on? Thank you very much. So we had clients who could not pay. In fact, what they teach us in business school is that businesses don't die because they don't have clients. No business dies because they don't have clients. Businesses actually die when they run out of cash. So it is cash flow that actually kills businesses. And when you have cash to clients who are unable to pay you because they also are facing adverse business swings, then in a sense, law firms become challenged. There was also a downward pressure on pricing. As we all found in our profession, I am now working as an accountant. The first 10 years of my life, I practiced as a assistant solicitor, and after that, I took a side step into the accounting profession, where I have tried to also, in a sense, acquire additional skills. And I'll speak about additional skills later in my presentation. But as clients begin to ask for discounts in the reality of the economy also facing a potential recession, and in the face of competition, because there are now more law firms looking for the same business, and so law firms begin to undercut each other, entering prices and lowering. That also puts pressure on fees, in addition to clients not even able to pay you on time. Meanwhile, your costs, in a sense, are not so flexible that you are able to also defer. For example, most law firms would have to pay rent, except working out of the property that you own. You have to pay salaries to your staff, and those salaries, even if you negotiate, to what extent can you reduce salaries? When you know that for a lot of people, that salary is the life both of the lawyer, but also of his family. And so you have the perfect storm of reduced revenue, reduced cash flow, and yet your costs are either stationary or increasing, therefore putting a lot of pressure on the profits that lawyers are able to earn. In addition, because of the extensive court closures and inability to practice in the way that most lawyers are familiar with, there's also low economic activity. The government itself was aware of these pressures on business sectors, and the government announced certain palliatives to help struggling businesses cope with the pandemic. But when you look at the way those incentives have been targeted. And towards my slide 13, I will give you a list of some of those incentives. You find that law firms are not best placed to access some of the incentives. I give an illustration. A lot of the incentives have been provided by the federal government. And so to qualify for some of those incentives, your business may sometimes have to be registered as a company. But law firms are typically not registered as companies. Law firms are registered as partnerships. Partnerships are taxed and managed at the state level and not at the federal level. So you find that federal palliatives don't necessarily cascade all the way down to law firms. And then not many states are able to give cash grants to struggling businesses. The other way lawyers could raise money typically would be to access commercial loans. And in this period, commercial loans are at soaring interest rates, sometimes up to 25%, which means that your ability to even pay back those loans is very challenged. That is the context in which COVID-19 has come in to actually make life a misery for most lawyers and law firms. So how do we survive? As lawyers, how do we survive to be able to face the future that stands in front of us? The first thing we've got to do as lawyers is to diversify our revenue stream and manage slack time. And it is this same advice we give, whether we're speaking to accountants, estate surveyors, lawyers, doctors. Of course, doctors tend to be doing well around this period. So you've got to find a way of diversifying your revenue stream and manage slack time. So all time saved from what do you do with that time? Because you can't just sit in your law firm or your law office doing nothing and expecting money to come. So you've got to diversify. But how do you diversify when you also consider the ethics of the legal profession and the rules on professional conduct that discourage lawyers from undertaking certain businesses? Learned Silk, Mr. Lai Babatunde SAN, at the beginning of this session, indicated that the Nigeria Bar Association is going to take a look at those ethical rules to see whether any flexibility can be brought to bear in a time like this to allow lawyers to do a little bit of other businesses to allow them to survive, at least for the time being. So another thing that can happen is to pursue active collaboration and partnerships. If you focus, for example, on litigation, you could form a strategic partnership with other lawyers who have other core competencies in other areas like corporate structuring, IP. I'll take mergers and acquisitions, which is where I work. You find that you cannot conclude a merger and acquisition without going to court to get a court order sanctioning this scheme of arrangement. So in other words, no matter what the financial advisors are doing on the accounting and commercial side, they need to partner with a law firm in order to conclude their transaction. And in some cases, you even find that law firms are beginning to lead some of those transactions and then calling in the financial advisors to work with them. So collaborations with other professionals, collaboration with other lawyers, pulling your resources together might be one way of putting yourself in a position where you can secure access to increasing cash flows and put yourself in a position where you can better survive the pandemic. Like Mrs. Sani also referenced, we've got to find a way of cutting down on spending and to save aggressively. We've got to focus on necessities. We've got to delay discretionary spending. I have a friend of mine who was on a project to expand his law firm at the time when COVID struck. So he has abandoned that project for the time being because he says to me, he wants to conserve cash. And so after business resumes somewhat, then he will go back to completing the work he's doing in expanding his physical infrastructure. You've got to deepen your market intelligence and figure out what is going on in order to reposition your firm and expand your value proposition. For example, new laws are being passed every day. There's been a lot of discussion about the new Companies and Allied Matters Act of 2020. Of course, most of the discussion has been around the new area of law practice that has been created by that legislation, the area of business restructuring. And I think a professional association, the BRIPAN Association, was recognized as the basis for which members will be accredited for carrying on as insolvency practitioners. What that means is that this is a new area of law where lawyers can get involved in and hone their skills as insolvency practitioners. So how many of us are aware of that? How many of us are positioning ourselves as lawyers, as law firms, to be able to practice in the insolvency area? And there are so many other areas where we can expand our value proposition and take advantage of new laws being passed. The newcomer has also expanded the types of incorporation, the types of business formats that businesses can undertake. We can now register limited partnerships. We can now register limited liability partnerships. That is an area where lawyers can make money by advising their clients on how to better take advantage of the Companies Act by registering their business form and then earning fees from clients by helping them do these things. In addition, we can start looking at those schemes that I discussed that government is initiating and for intervention schemes. Recently, for example, the government launched an MSME survival scheme that's targeted at small and medium scale enterprises. Most law firms in Nigeria would qualify as small and medium scale enterprises. And that scheme can give payroll support up to 1.5 million naira per annum. Of course, not at once, but in a staggered manner, which can help those small and medium scale enterprises continue to pay their employees for a period of time. But of course, you need to qualify for that scheme. So you can look at the details of the scheme and see how you qualify. Another thing we can do is start to leverage technology to save costs. For example, previously, if you had to do a seminar of this nature, you would have to hire a hall.
Jesus, who told her to boil chicken?
You would have to hire a hall, and you would have to gather people together in that hall. People will incur travel costs to the location. But today, we're able to have meetings by Zoom. We're able to have meetings by Microsoft Teams. We're able to collaborate on projects without being physically located in the same location. So we can leverage technology to save on transport costs, on infrastructure costs. And then you can start looking at your pricing also, since you know that all your clients are going to be facing the same difficulty you're facing in terms of cash flow, to look at what you can do with your pricing to leverage your lower costs in the COVID era by offering lower fees. And don't forget, like I said, the final point on this area would be watch your cash flows. Make sure that you have enough cash in your business. Determine a cash level below which you will not allow your business to go, because you've got to be able to survive for the long term. Now, I want to speak here on my next slide about moving beyond the pandemic and preparing for the future. We know that this pandemic will not last forever. The world is already beginning to show signs of recovery. Nigeria may take a bit longer than usual, but I think by middle of next year, by middle of 2021, even Nigeria will begin to show signs of recovery from this pandemic. And I believe that oil prices, even though it was challenged in the last week, oil prices have generally tended to rebound, even in the course of this pandemic. So I think most economists analyze that Nigeria should be able to weather this storm, and by mid-2021, begin to exit the economic crisis that has been triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic. So how do you hedge against adverse economic difficulties? Mrs. Sani already stole some of my thunder, referring to the things you are doing in the passive income area, and I have already spoken about the possibility of making active income by diversifying your service offerings. There are some things you can do, some places you can invest in that can give you potentially competitive returns on investment. And remember what we always say, which Mrs. Sani also alluded to. Your return on investment must be higher than the inflation rate for the country. Otherwise, you are technically losing money. So for those of us who were raised thinking that the safest place to put your money is a fixed deposit in a bank account, the fixed deposit rate right now, if you are very lucky, you can get as high as 6%. Savings rate is about 1.2 to 3%. Again, if you are very lucky, you can get as high as 2.5%. Inflation rate is 13%. What that means is that when you put money in fixed deposit or savings account, you're actually losing money. You've then got to say to yourself, how do you stay above inflation? there are investment opportunities in Nigeria today that perform better than inflation, but you have to do some work to get it. Mutual funds, for example, is an aggregation of investors and investors funds that then manage who look for equity and fixed income returns, and they can offer you competitive returns. So you can go to Cowrie Wise or Narrow Metrics online in order to obtain information on the top performing mutual funds. Another area where you have fixed income that performs better than inflation is in the area of federal government of Nigeria bonds and treasury bills. Treasury bills tend to be slightly below inflation. The current TB rates are around 10 to 11%, and sometimes as low as 9%. But for the bonds, you can still get bonds that are being issued by the government at about 14 to 16%. So if you are looking for bonds that are listed on the stock exchange, you will need a broker. But if you are looking to invest in FGN bonds, you will have to have a minimum investment amount. Typically, they will ask for a minimum of ₦500,000 for you to be able to invest there. Commodities is another area. For example, a lot of people are now involved in crowdfunding for agriculture. Agriculture has done extremely well despite this pandemic. And it's a sector that is currently giving about 25 to 28% return on investment for investors who are putting money in agri. Again, I would always caution that you must speak to your financial advisors and be careful that you're not being too aggressive in taking risk, because agri is also considered a very high risk investment area in Nigeria. So, but for people who understand agri a bit better and know the kind of investments they can back, they are reporting returns of investment that sometimes as high as 20% year on year. And that performs very well relative to inflation at 13%. Even though real estate has declined in terms of profitability, it is still an asset class that yields significant capital gains. So you may not get a lot in terms of rental value of your real estate in this period, but potentially over the long term, you will be able to get capital gains that may give you a return that is better than inflation over the period. Those are the kind of investments that we can all look at as we begin to think of how to exit the pandemic. But let me try and break it down so that we all understand what I'm trying to allude to here. A lot of people don't know where to put their money, and so we tend to be very consumer driven. We want to buy new cars, we want to buy new houses, we buy the latest fashion items. But if you were to save 150,000 naira every month, and you were to do that for 5 years, and you were to put that money in a passive investment scheme that delivered to you 15 to 18% per annum, that discipline of investing that amount of money every month over a period of 5 years will yield to you a minimum of about 6.5 million naira. And that's not money to be scoffed at all. So there needs to be a discipline in making the financial investment. There needs to be discipline in putting aside money deliberately, and also to reinvest the gains on that investment so that you, in a sense, put a knife to your throat and curtail consumption. There needs to be disciplined savings, and then we can all have a stockpile of money or returns that can tide us through any negative economic headwinds. The last idea I have on this scheme is to participate in other saving schemes. So a lot of associations are now creating cooperative societies. We also know about the contributory pension scheme, where each one of us is encouraged to open retirement savings accounts and to put money aside on a monthly basis into our pension schemes. Those are ideas that we can all take advantage of as we begin to think of how to save. As I begin to approach the end of my presentation, I also thought I should speak about the other item that is now a hot burning issue, which is the impact of technology on the future of the legal profession. For those of us in the accounting profession, for instance, we have found that by not being able to visit our clients' offices to do inventory counts and undertake statutory audit services, we are being compelled to adopt technology that enables us to do remote auditing. And I think you will find that the legal profession is also going to be faced with a similar challenge. How do you move witnesses around for examination and cross-examination in a COVID world without incurring significant costs? And the answer to all this is technology. Many law firms in Nigeria have been able to successfully transit into a remote working model. They have been able to leverage economic repositories and databases for legal resources like case files. So imagine if you were to subscribe to LAWBREED, for example, not only for access to their printed material, but also for access to electronic database of Supreme Court judgments that you can either access on your company server or access on your mobile device on the go. And I don't know if LAWBREED have such a product, but if you do not, I would encourage you to think about it. If you already have it, I would encourage those of us on this call to begin to consider how we can subscribe to those products. Because gone are the days, I remember when I used to practice law with Chief Williams, and we would attend court with pilot cases full of books because we intend to refer to some of those cases in court. But in the law practice of the future, and the future is already here, nobody's going to be carrying pilot cases full of books. People are going to be carrying their iPads. The judge himself may be holding the court session on Zoom. And so you're going to have to be referring to electronic databases that contain legal resources. You're going to have to schedule meetings with clients electronically. You're going to have to attend virtual court hearings. And so we have to invest in technology that enables us to achieve and perform our work without disruption. We're all listening from our different locations to this presentation, and we're all participating, which means that we all have to invest in technology. We also have to subscribe to data. The jury is still out as to the extent to which artificial intelligence will disrupt the legal profession. And I know several courts in different jurisdictions have had to face this question of the extent to which AI can be leveraged to administer the court process. But we will have to see how that goes, I believe. So we are already beginning to find that in some of the other old professions, technology is disrupting the way we do business. And the law profession, I don't think, will be an exception to this. So the key takeaways from my presentation are that the country is currently facing economic challenges at the micro and the macro level. And each one of us needs to have a survival strategy, both for personal and organizational resilience and growth. And it is all around managing our cash flow. We must be able to make sure that our families don't run out of cash. We need to have multiple income families. We cannot all be dependent on one income source. I know some people have single income families where maybe only the husband or maybe only the wife is the breadwinner. In the Nigeria of today and tomorrow, we will need to have multiple breadwinners in each family. We also need to have multiple revenue sources in every organization. Just like Mrs. Sani has said about how she has diversified her business to have multiple businesses that complement each other, each one of us has to be able to do that at the level of our own organization. We must make deliberate efforts to achieve wealth creation. We must invest wisely and save aggressively. We must minimize discretionary costs. And to stay relevant in future, we must begin to seek ways to leverage technology to drive our business growth. I thank you very much for inviting me to speak, and I will be very happy to take a few questions.
Wow, Mr. Ajibola Olomola, thank you so much for that wonderful, wonderful presentation. We thank you because obviously you just demonstrated what you have pushed us to do and think about. You've leveraged technology so effectively. I don't know what you would have done differently if you were at home, you know, in your study doing this presentation, you know, but you have done it so well. I wish we could give you a round of applause, but I know our hearts, we are really grateful, you know, for your presentation and for the wonderful, wonderful tips you have shared. And you know, there are a lot of things that you have said that really resonates, and it's even like some of the, you know, you echoed some of the things that Mrs. Sunny said. So for me, that's the, like you are emphasizing what we need to hear and do over and over again. So we thank you for that. I believe that the direction is clear. The call to action is absolutely clear for us from your presentation. If it is going to be, then it is definitely up to us. We cannot outsource our thinking. We cannot outsource the activities we need to embark upon, like you have shared from all those valuable tips. You've also said that we need to diversify our revenue streams within the ethics of the profession. So we need to think about that. And we're hopeful and looking forward to when even the conversation can be extended, you know, to the leadership of the MBA and all those who can help us, you know, achieve this. Because, I mean, the only way forward now is for us to leave the old things and then look onto new things. You have advised that in this era, we need to pursue active collaboration. I mean, for some of us, that will really come hard. Like, okay, I've been on my own for so long. How do I begin to think of actively collaborating with other firms? But the truth is that collaboration is the future. Quite a number of young lawyers, we are out there, we are running around struggling, you know, but you know how it will look, and the power of everyone coming together may not necessarily merge, but, you know, leveraging on one another's expertise and saying that, yes, I get a brief, but I'm thinking of law firm A, and then I'm law firm B, and then C2 can chime in, and then we have a powerful force. So that's a powerful, powerful thought for consideration. Thank you for that. You also advise, just like Mrs. Sonito said, that we need to cut down on spending, and instead we should pursue aggressive savings. You know, for those who think that I'm barely, you know, trying to make ends meet now, even if you're earning 1 million naira now and we don't save, or we don't have that discipline to save, when we begin to make 10 million naira per month, it's not going to be easy, because, you know, needs are going to come up, like you have demonstrated, to swallow the new level. Then we need to deepen our market intelligence in order to reposition our value proposition. So what is new? Where is the money going in? You know, what are the new regulations? Like you cited, you know, the new CAMA provisions and the business resolvency, you know, practitioners bit, and how we can reposition our value proposition to ensure that we are indeed relevant and we're not just stuck in our old ways. So that's a call for action. And of course, I mean, for me, I was particularly intrigued with this looking for intervention schemes, like what Smidan offers. Payroll intervention is coming to me for the first time. Incidentally, I read about Smidan yesterday, because, you know, I'm going to have a conversation with a key officer there tomorrow concerning a business proposition. So I'm really intrigued, and thank you for that. That's a great insight. Then, of course, you emphasize so much on the need for us to leverage on technology. We have to embrace technology in order to remain a future fit business, a future fit, in order for us to be future fit professionals. We have to embrace technology. I remember that, you know, when I was working my last company, PZ Cousins, some of my directors almost vowed that we can never have a board meeting, you know, virtually, almost like in the history of the company. But guess what? The last 9-10 months, they've been compelled to use their Zoom. Those who vowed that no, it's not possible to have a virtual AGM. We've had almost all the PLCs in Nigeria conducting their AGMs virtually, you know, and they were taking it one day at a time. So for me, that absolutely resonates. That technology we must embrace. God forbid that we should leave COVID the same way we entered it, in the sense that, God forbid, we should go back to the pre-COVID period, where we now dump the use of our emails, of the virtual platforms, and just being digitally driven in our approach and strategy. You've emphasized that so much. Thank you so much for that. And of course, you also give us some tidbits on how to investing in mutual funds, in high yield bonds, in commodities, real estate. You know, you did a lot breaking that down and what are the pros, the cons, and how we can also take advantage of that. And you also sounded a note of warning, which I really took to heart, that look, if you don't understand all this thing, you need to speak to the experts. So lawyers, our colleagues on board, we should not be shy. It's not a sin to not understand some of it. What is really, really, what I'll call a sin is for us not to know, and then for us to just hide somewhere and not go after knowledge. So a little investment in a financial, advisor, someone who can do a proper financial analysis. You know, there's so many young people that, with just a little budget, you can actually get what you want. If you think going to the large firms, you need a big budget. But I know there are quite a number of young, sharp people that with a little budget, they'll be able to really demonstrate and help you understand where your money should be going. And of course, preparing for the future, we have to have a flexible business plan. We have to participate in saving schemes, and of course, the discipline of investing. So if we don't save now, it's really going to be a tough one. And of course, the key takeaways, you've also just reiterated everything you have said to us in the last couple of minutes. So we thank you so much, Mr. Olomola. Really appreciate having you tonight. We'll look through the chat room now to see if we have a couple of questions. A lot of commendations, a lot of commendations. Wow. A lot of commendations. I think we've just soaked everything in. I enjoy, a lot of us who probably won't really sleep too well tonight, because you threw in a lot of call to action for us to just pick up, and from tomorrow, Monday, just start something. So on that note, we really want to thank you.
I actually have sent to the organizers my presentation, and it contains a list of some of the intervention funds that a few of our attendees here might be interested in accessing. So I hope the organizers will share the presentation, and a few people might benefit from making those applications.
Thank you so much for that generosity. I'm sure that we will have the presentation circulated as you have guided. Thank you so much. I would like to call on my learned self, Mr. Lai Babatunde, SAN, for a few comments from him. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Lassendi. Mr. Ajibola Olomola, thank you so very much for this beautiful presentation. Obviously, we had some challenges, and I know that it was a bit difficult for some people to follow and hear properly. But thank God for the slides. The slides made up for some of the challenges that we were experiencing. And I believe that the slides will be available so that we can share the slides with our colleagues, and they can thereafter be able to relate with the presentation even more closely. But even at that, it's obvious that very important areas have been touched, and that will be of very practical use to us moving forward. If I may just comment briefly on the issue of leveraging technology to deliver legal services. You did mention something about availability of judgments of court, particularly from law reporting, and whether we are already doing something like that. I thought I should quickly speak to that. Actually, LAWBREED initially started publishing using CDs. In 2002, I think, we started publishing using CDs. Later on, we abandoned CDs, more or less, and the CDs were complementing the hard copies. But now, the Supreme Court judgments are published online. They are available online every time, and it's such that You can work from anywhere. Interestingly, we have people who have subscribed to the platform, even from some destinations as far as Russia. That shows how small or global village, as it's often said, that the world has become. So it's such that you can access the Supreme Court judgments on our platform. You can do your research from there. You can write your briefs or addresses as the case may be. In fact, you can cut and paste without having to. Sorry, can you hear me? Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you. We just had some interference from someone.
Oh,
but
sorry.
We can hear you. No, not
sorry.
you, sir. Somebody was speaking through them.
So the judgments are available online, and if you go to the LAWBREED platform, you can always access the Supreme Court judgment and do whatever work you want to do with it, either in terms of court work or research, as the case may be. And you can do so from wherever you are in the world at any time of the day. So I thought I needed to make that. And the interesting thing is this: the Supreme Court judgments that we publish, which is cited as SC reports, that's a Supreme Court, simply put. The citations of the electronic copies that you get online and the ones you have in your library, the hard copies, the references are the same, the pages are the same, the paragraphs are the same. So if you cite from the electronic copies, it's as good as if you have the online, you have the hard copies in your hands, which makes it a lot easier for us as practitioners, especially at this period in which the world is challenged with this pandemic. So I thought I needed to make that point very, very quickly. I guess later on, I will come back to make a few comments about the very important areas that Mr. Lomela has touched on, especially having regards to the issue of multiple sources of income. I'm grateful that Mrs. Joyce Odwa is here with us and she's listening to our conversation, because that's a very important area that we need to look at moving forward. It's so key to our survival. And I pray that in a short while, we'll be able to address that issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We're grateful for that clarification you've made and the insight into what we can do with the available resources from your firm. Thank you very much, sir. At this juncture, we would like to take some few recognitions. We have Mr. Jubril Okutepa, SAN, with us tonight. You're welcome, my learned silk. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. We also have Mr. Oladipo Solani and our colleagues from Kaduna. We're so glad to have you. Thank you for joining this webinar. Mr. Nureni Jimo and our colleagues from Kano, you're also here. We recognize you. We thank you. We thank you for joining us tonight. Mrs. Irene Agumbiade from the United Kingdom all the way. Thank you so much, madam. Really appreciate your joining us tonight. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll be moving on to the next speaker now. And we're absolutely glad to have Dr. Maimuna Yusuf Kadiri, consultant neuropsychiatrist, and also is the CEO of Pinnacle Medical Services. Dr. Maimuna Yusuf Kadiri is a dynamic consultant neuropsychiatrist and a fellow of the National Postgraduate Medical College of Nigeria with almost 20 years experience as a practicing physician. She is a trained and certified rational, emotive, and cognitive behavioral therapist from Albert Ellis Institute, New York. She's also a certified trauma counselor and neurofeedback practitioner. Dr. Kadiri has wide experience in psychotherapy, therapeutic techniques, and has perfected her skills whilst in private practice and whilst working for a variety of organizations. She's a recognized radio and television guest psychiatrist, psychotherapist, She also contributes to articles published in magazines and newspapers. A motivational speaker, coach, and mentor. She has attended several local and international continuous professional development courses and training programs. In recognition of outstanding leadership and performance in the field of mental health, she was selected for a course on the development of leadership and professional skills for young psychiatrists in year 2011, a World Health Organization affiliated program. Dr. Memunat is also, she also produced Little Drops of Happy in 2017 to create awareness about mental health in Nigeria. Our learnership, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to invite Dr. Memuna Yusuf Kadiri to take our presentation. Over to you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to be here. I've been sitting, I think this is 2 hours, 8 minutes, and I'm not tired. And I've learned a lot from the previous speakers. So I want to use this opportunity to greet Mr. Lai Babatunde, SAM. And of course, his lovely wife, organizing this brilliant, webinar. It's very key that even amongst our profession, we tend to have all family meetings according to what we said. It's like what we say August, so we say October meeting. And of course, to all the amazing SANs on this forum, I've been counting. I'm like, okay, these are SANs, these are people you don't just see on the street. Mr. Deni additional, you made mention of other people, that also these are senior advocates and all the other amazing lawyers on this platform who are the most valuable participants and the ones that are making this more interesting. And that's the reason why we tell you no matter what the time is and how challenging it will be, I just have to be here. And listening to Mrs. Sanin and of course Mr. Olomola, we've talked about all the finances, all the collaboration, all the how to break even, diversification, close them, shut down one building and just focus on another building. And of course, that has just put us on that mindset, lighting up the bulb in our brain to say, how are we coping in this COVID period? And of course, we all look forward to the post-COVID period, making money, saving more money and all that. And I'm here coming to now talk about wellness, well-being. So I have a lot of work to do to make sure that the participants that we see have right now, about 68 of us, so we're 75, 76, are not going to drop off this webinar before I round up. So I hope you're all seeing me and you're all hearing me.
Absolutely, your lovely face.
In any meeting and you don't hear this statement, then you're in a wrong meeting. So now I can feel that now people are hearing me and people are seeing me. So I'm in the right meeting. Let's get this rolling. I'm hoping I'm able to share my slides if possible, but if not, don't take it too personal. But I'm going to run through my slides so that it won't be boring. And I have some icebreakers. So please, this is not just a talk. I want us to be active participants with our well-being. We've heard all the finances, everything, collaboration, everything. But when it comes to awareness and lifestyle awareness, the truth is that if I ask this singular question right now, how many of us have actually done our health assessment for the year? how many of us have actually done our health assessment for the year? This is October, and I'm sure when we did our dirty December 2019, nobody knew COVID was coming. And of course, when we got to January 1st, we made all our rules and all this business strategy. How can we get more clients? How can we, expand our office from Lagos to Ibadan? How can we get more branches in Kano, Port Harcourt, and Abuja? All those are well-documented business strategies. But if I ask this forum that we are just about 68 now, how many of us have had our health check done now that we are in October? Full health check. Like literally what it is that, before the COVID, and now that we can now visit hospitals, how many of us that took this, look, COVID is here, let us just go and do our full check, our full blood count, MRI, whatever it is. How many of us have taken that decision? And this is where I come in when I say our awareness, if not taken, importantly and seriously, what Mrs. Sani and Mr. Olomola said, we just go down the drain. It will be a complete loss, because when you are not well, you can't make money. And that is why health is actually wealth. Even the GDP of any country don't have a healthy populace or healthy individuals in a society. Definitely that society wouldn't be wealthy, because people make it happen. So you just have to ensure it's a priority. And sad to say, COVID came, and COVID is exposing us to everything that we never really anticipated or thought of. It's now exposing us to the fact that, doctors' hazard allowance is 5%, exposing us to the fact that, the healthcare system in Nigeria is a fragile sector. It's exposing us to the fact that, the exodus of doctors and nurses out of Nigeria is a time bomb waiting to explode. It's exposing us to the fact that, the resources are highly limited. Budget to the healthcare is highly limited. There's gross inequality when it comes to the healthcare system. People had money, but they couldn't buy themselves out of COVID. So when we talk about awareness, it is very significant that when you look at the wheel of awareness, it is 8 in all. What Mrs. Sani and Mr. Olumola was talking about, the two of them, they talked about financial awareness. There is spiritual awareness. There's the physical awareness, emotional, psychological, the career, the family. The wheel of awareness has to be as much as possible on a balanced scale, at least 5/10. If 10 is 10/10, if you have an average, that is what we really want us to do. If anyone is below average, why? And then work on it. Is it the family? Is it the career? Is it that? Most people are working remotely right now. Offices are disintegrated. People are not really there. If you have to go, there's that every other day kind of thing. Even in the law firms, you see a group of people will go on Monday, another group will go on Tuesday. And of course, cases done online now. And I'm like, look, these are the things we anticipated that in 2020, in 2030, 2040, but 2020 came and COVID happened and changed the narrative. So this is our new norm. And accepting our new norm, not necessarily, not necessarily, telling yourself this is not what is happening now, but acknowledging it is very important for us to accept that this our new normal is not going to go away. And that will always keep us productive. So rather than you telling yourself, why is COVID happening now? Flip your thoughts and tell yourself, what am I learning this period? What is this period teaching me? What did these statements do to you? Negative self-talk versus positive self-talk. When you flip it to more positive, it keeps you grounded. And of course, not only physically, but also emotionally. And most importantly, productive. Because in your pursuit for greatness, your clarity, your goals, they must be where, itemize. And by the time you're saying, why is this COVID? COVID didn't do this. If COVID, I was supposed to have promotion. COVID, I was supposed to have relocated. COVID, I was supposed to marry. A lot of us did Zoom weddings, so a lot. And if you see the pictures, you think we're actually there. So the truth is that don't do all this negative talk. This is a time for us to be more productive. This is a time for us to be more physical and emotionally balanced. So that wellness and well-being, because the lawyers, when you look at statistics, the top 20 professionals that are most stressed, lawyers are number 20, the 12th. Let's take it to the extreme of cases. Top 10 profession that you see suicide more, lawyers are 8 over 10. It's a very stressful profession because the thing is that a lot of things are being done. You have to run around, you have to do a lot of things. If you're in litigation or law, all the books, all the reading, then quoting session this, or session this. Even if you're a commercial law lawyer or corporate commercial, whatever it is, it's still a lot of work. 5 years in university, 1 year in the law school, and of course you do your NYC, and it is a very stressful profession. But again, your awareness is key to everything you do. It's very integral. So let's have a little discussion. You know, all our mails always end with the fact that, you know, we say yours faithfully, yours sincerely, best regards. I think with this little exercise we want to do now, I want to hear from our participants what you think should be our new signing out with our mails. Let's have some fun. Just 1 minute. I just want to have 10% of the participants on board and then we'll move. It's not that serious. We've had the finance, you know, when they're talking about finances, it just makes you feel as if you have not achieved. So this is my session. I want us to have fun. Let us not, you know, take things too strong to heart, but at least let's ensure that I would drive home the message, but let's just have some fun. How would you like to end your signing out for the year? Together we are stronger. Yours pandemically. Be safe, stay safe, keep safe. Yours COVIDly, palliatively yours. Let me hear what you have to say. These are the ways I want to be signing. In fact, I've started using one. Most of my mails end with palliatively yours. And of course, it's a conversation starter. Like people that I wasn't able to get for some months. The one mail I sent, palliatively yours, she said, what? I said, this woman, she has not been answering my mails. Now, because I said palliatively yours, we started the conversation. So let me hear what the lawyers have to say. Lawyers, don't be too serious. I want to have fun. I've written 5. Let me hear what you have to say. I need to go to the chat box to know what we have there. Or maybe Miss Sabiola, let's say, they will help me. But okay, I can say the chats. Yes. So yes, say yours, your co-survivor. Okay, that's interesting. Somebody has said your co-survivor, yours safely. Stay safe, my dear brother. What if it's not a brother you are referring to? What of stay safe, my dear sister? Yours in max compliance. Brilliant. I'm having fun. Yours in max compliance.
Thank God we're alive. Thank God we are alive.
Okay, thank God we are alive. Okay, interesting. Somebody has sent me a private message, maybe because there are a lot of other people here, and it said, God will not shame us. Interesting ways that we are, you know, having all this done. So, but let's just go back to what remain safe, yours in survivor. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's continue our discussion. This is our new normal, but of course we do understand that, you know, accepting it, not necessarily, you know, telling yourself this is not what is happening, but you know, acknowledging, very key. And when we talk about awareness, it's just to make sure that we promote each and every one of us to understand the importance it has in our lives. Because there's going to be a post-COVID-19 survival party. There's already a Shobi. Quarantine Green is one of the colors we are picking, and of course with a matching face mask. So definitely LAWBREED is there to ensure that the post of a COVID-19 survival party we hold, and of course you get to be there. Face mask is still key. So I just want to use 1 minute to just still let us know the virus is still very much around. We are opening up the economy because, you know, recession and everything that's happening. This virus doesn't move, humans move. And because you move, the virus moves. And if you are 50 years and above, or you have underlying medical conditions, please, 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 still understand that, you know, this is still very much in town. I happen to be a member of the Lagos State Think Tank COVID-19 Committee with the Commissioner and Mr. Governor and other amazing people. And we still know what is going on behind the scene. People still get admitted. So please, COVID hasn't gone. You know, you use your face mask. If you must go out, please, 2 meters social distancing, physical distancing is still very key. Hand washing, please have your sanitizer. These are the things I still want us to understand. They are very key to us. So, but because I'm talking about awareness, a lot of times people understand what it is about our physical awareness. You know, you want to run your test for the whole year, you want to know what it is, but most of us neglect one aspect of our awareness, which is the emotional and psychological. This is what COVID-19 viral infection has done to us mentally. And even if you are not in the health sector, everybody now knows this new vocabulary, pandemic. So I'm going to use quite a number of acronyms here today because I strongly believe it's a very easy way for us to relate, and it's a very easy way for you to have your take-home notes, and it will help you to remember faster. So in the way the COVID-19 viral infection affected us mentally, I'm going to use the acronym pandemic. There's nobody that doesn't know this word right now, pandemic. So what is the P? Panic. Initially, a lot of us panic to buy. But even the things we don't need. Some of us are looking at our pantry now, like, I bought 20 cartons of tomatoes. I have 20 cartons of Indomie. Where is this all going to? A lot of us did a lot of panic buying. Some of you saw the videos online where the aisle for the tissue paper in London and other countries in the world, there was complete, you know, buying out of the tissue paper. And Nigerians will be looking at, why are these ones buying tissue paper? Tissue paper is not our problem. Food is our problem, you know. So there was a lot of panic buying. But what is the recent panic now? Fear of resuming back to work. Fear of losing your work. You know, loved ones also having one issue or the other. And that leads us to the A, anxiety and fear. Children are resuming back to schools. Daddies are paying the salaries or mommies are paying the school fees, but the fear of what if my child gets infected? What if, you know, the initial anxiety was, what if I contact COVID-19? What if I die? That was the anxiety and fear initially. But right now is the fact that, you know, children are resuming, you know, the anxiety of the fact that my salaries are being reduced to 50%. In fact, I may even lose my job. That new from the March to October, new things are changing. Most of us are on the table of the end, not sleeping and eating well. That table, in fact, it has broken because most of us sleeping is a major problem right now. Because we aren't going anywhere. 6 weeks lockdown in Nigeria, most of us never experienced anything. In fact, anybody that's alive today didn't experience any pandemic before, because the last one was 100 years ago. So that not sleeping and eating well is affecting our productivity. Yes, some of us are enjoying working remotely, but how productive are we? And this is why I will end up with tips on what to do and how to manage ourselves. The D and E is like brother and sister. Depression and experiencing suicidal thoughts. The World Health Organization has declared COVID-19 as a global pandemic, but I will want to let you know scientifically and for what we see behind the scene, there are 3 pandemics that are ongoing currently. The one that has been declared, the second one is gender-based violence, and the third one is increase in the rate of mental illnesses. 1 out of every 5 Nigerians is currently depressed. So if we are 70 on this forum, now just know that, you know, about 15 16 of us are currently depressed. And what I mean by that is that, when people hear that word, they just believe that you have to be on the street. No, we have high functioning depression. They churn in all their books, they churn in all their papers, they churn in all the work you want them to do, but they are depressed. So when you just hear somebody that just killed himself, you're wondering, but this person was very productive, was very functional. That person could be having high, a functioning depression, or what we call smiling depression. They are jovial, they are, all right, everything is fine to you, but to them, they are having a lot of challenges. And this is where I want to let everybody on this forum know, as lawyers, whether you're an employee or an employer of labor, if you have any of your staff, or if you are a staff living alone, is truly not so healthy this period because of the COVID-19, stay home, stay safe kind of thing. Now that, yes, there's a little bit of easy enough so people can actually go out. But those people that were living, staying alone, that loneliness is really also affecting them. So there's an increase in rate of depression, and of course, people expressing suicidal thoughts are there. I've had a 9-year-old kill himself here in Nigeria. I'm not saying when I was in UK, here in Nigeria. So don't even think children don't get depressed and don't kill themselves. So we are having those kind of issues. And so if you are homeschooling, please, as a parent on this platform, monitor what your child is doing online. There's an increase in the rate of cyberbullying right now. And what that does to children is that it erodes their self-esteem, self-worth, and self-confidence. So please, when your child is telling you somebody is talking online, somebody is investigate. I know we can be so stressed and tensed up, but please, your children need you right now. You have to be emotionally present for your child or for your children. And you must be able to create a home climate for them to thrive. I want to remind us, in 5-10 years, the children are definitely not going to know how this COVID-19 will affect us politically, economically, and financially. But one thing they are going to remember is the way you made them feel. So please make it count. Parents, please, I beg of you. Since March till October, we have had an 80% increase in the rate of teenagers we see in our hospital. Because millennials and Generation Z are the therapy generation. So they will come to you as a dad or a mom and tell you, look, I need therapy. I know I am depressed. I need help. And so please, that is not the time for you to say, look, you are in Green Spring, I paid $4 million for you per year. You have a roof over your head. You have food. No, I know you know it all, daddy and mommy, but please listen to them non-judgmentally. Listen to understand their problems, not necessarily to respond. They know you have the answers, but please listen. Children do get depressed. Children do get suicidal. Children also do kill themselves. So, and of course, that leads us to M, maladaptive coping strategies. This is more among our men. I'm not saying the women don't have it, but more because alcohol injection, cigarette smoking, use of caffeinated drinks is more among the men. And that further affects your sleep and eating habit. And these are the tips for good, what we want to say, achieving good wellness. So once you are coping maladaptively, it affects other things that you should be able to harness that will help you stay productive and, of course, still better. Then impaired thought processes also come in. People are becoming very suspicious. Oh, this virus is manufactured. It's 5G. It is this. It is that. A lot of what we call conspiracy theories that are coming in. And last but not the least, which some of us are still there, is confusion. We are still confused. Yeah, it wasn't airborne. Now we know it's airborne. Don't use face masks. Now we know that you have to use face masks. So there's a lot of confusion, even from the World Health Organization, NCDC, we now know better. But the confusion is that when will this COVID-19 go away? We want our normal lives back. When will this vaccine come out? All the other things that, come in. So if you want to just know how the COVID-19 affected us mentally, the word pandemic is an easy word for us, for you to easily use, and then of course go on. I'm not going to say too much about this because this is not what we want to talk about. We want to focus more on stress. What is that one thing that will really stress a lawyer out? What is that? Because if you think about work stress, you are in the majority, you are not alone. And new researchers are telling us that more than half of employees are stressed. Now, Nigerian mental work place survey that was done in 2019 is saying that 80% of Nigerian employees are at risk of a mental illness. 1 in 3 cannot cope with stress. 1 in 5 is dealing with financial crisis. 4 in 3 are at risk of a mental illness, and 1 in 12 are at risk of depression. And one driving force about being stressed is our unrealistic expectations and lack of work-life balance. We must make sure that our goals are aligning. You don't want to say what Mrs. Sani told us and Mr. Olomolo told us, let us just run with it. No, no, no. You must make sure that they are realistic. Don't go and start putting strategies in place now that they are so bogus, they are not measurable, they are not achievable, but you just believe that if I can just, let me just market, let me just, there's this statement, act it till you feel it. I've forgotten, I don't know what I forgot, but there's a statement that, as if you don't have it, you just feel as if, you have it, it will come. No. It will not come. There are certain things you cannot just acquire. You must work towards it. You must make sure that there are properly documented strategies and all that would help you to ensure that what you are doing is the right thing. And of course, these are the statistics. I'm not going to do this. So what will make you stress? Now I've talked about the pandemic acronym. This is another acronym. And of course, with this, I will end up with the last acronym, and then I want to hear our questions. If for any reason you've ever told yourself you are stressed, this is the reason. The STRESS, one of it must resonate with you while you are stressed. Is it because of your self-negative talk, self-comparison, self-criticizing yourself, telling yourself you are not good enough? Oh, everybody is on Instagram, look at that, they are sharing out their webinar, whatever. I've not attended any webinar. Oh, I have to learn this new skill. Or people are relocated to Canada. You are just telling yourself all the negative thoughts. You can get easily stressed from that. And the reason why you see your primary healthcare physician, let me just tell you, the reason why most of us go to see the doctor, 90% of cases is because we are stressed. 90% is stress related. It's only when you get there, you can then start explaining one thing or the other. The doctor says, okay, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. The T here is traumatic life events. The trauma you've experienced. In fact, right now, everybody is collectively dealing with trauma. COVID-19 is a global pandemic. So collectively, we are traumatized. Result of post-traumatic stress disorder will come out in 3 to 6 months' time. There are people already diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder now. But since February, March, there are 3 months, 6 months have gone down the drain. And our past trauma can begin to affect us right now. Past trauma of you coming from a home where there was divorce, past trauma of you coming from a home where there was death of one of or both of your parents, past trauma of either you were sexually abused, past trauma of coming from a home where it was a dysfunctional family setting. These are past traumas. Being attacked by armed robbers, being attacked, harassed in the workplace. These are past traumas. So, and that can easily stress you out. What is our relationship issues? Women are more unstable as against men. Men have been able to, find ways to cope in one way or the other, but the thing is that women tend to, the way the society is also designed, women bear more stress, women, the social role of a woman as a natural nurturer, women tend to have a lot of roles. The society believes that we are multitaskers, but studies are telling us that we are not. So women, if you're on this forum, you are not a multitasker. Let me remind you, you are working suboptimally if you want to do everything. The men's brains are really compartmentalized. They'll finish this, done, dusted, boom, done, dusted, boom. But you open your brain, I can do this, I'm cooking, I do this. So studies are not telling us, if you think you're a multitasker, you need more sleep. For women, truly, do you sleep more than the men? A woman will tell you, I'm going to bed by 8 p.m. They won't go to bed till 11, 12. Once your husband stand up and say, I'm going to bed, honey, he is on his bed. You are still moving around. This children's room. Let me check this. Let me check that. What will they eat tomorrow? Women be coming down. Be coming down. Reason be that we are twice more depressed than men. We are twice. So I'm not going to just embellish this. I need to nail it and let us understand that, look, yes, it's good. We do so many things, but there are also repercussions. You know, so please try as much as possible to do what is within your control. Most of us have the economic and financial challenge. That's why when we talk about stress, there is no way you will tick one. In this whole acronym, you must tick one of it. Financial and economic challenges is the E here. Issues, people are not having receiving their full salary. Some have been laid off job. I've had chances of attending quite a number of the MBA conferences and all that. And sometimes when there was a seminar, I think that the last MBA offline conference that happened last year, I was in one of the sessions. The young lawyers were really talking about their salaries. That, can you imagine? I'm being paid 15,000. I'm like, excuse me, are you a cleaner? Like, really? So you know, these are some of the things that, you know, you now ask yourself after these 5-6 years, then what? So it's something that truly those economic financial challenges can really stress you out. Especially when everybody in the whole community knows that you are a lawyer. And you now come and say you don't have money. You say, Oga lawyer, how can you say you don't have money now? You know, those are the things you hear, but these are things that easily stress us out. The S is the sickness, health challenges, and the last but not the least is school and work. Many of us are dealing with that right now. For some of us, the schools are giving us options. Come online or come do virtual or bring the children to school. Some of us, we picked children to school because we cannot come and kill ourselves. Every morning they are shouting your name. Mommy, no lights. Mommy, the meeting, the Zoom has ended. Mommy, what is, no. The option is, oh yeah, pack your load, go to school. God is in control for all of us in this, and we will survive it. You know, so these are some of the things that, because you are online talking, you have your children talking. So every home now that is online, you must have at least 2 to 3, you know, backup with any network. Computer, at least you must have a second one. Lights, you must have fuel or diesel in your generator. If you are not living in an estate or you have a house that 24 hours light. So there's so much stress that's ongoing right now in our lives. So please, you must be able to know what to do and how to manage it. Because stress comes with all its effects. And that is the reason why you'll be holding your phone, you're looking for your phone. And that's the reason why, you know, you'll be looking for your car keys, you are holding your car keys. And if you have children, as I say, but Dad, you are holding your car keys. Oh Lord, this stress is getting to me. Yes, Daddy, the stress is getting to you. You need to take, Scobie said we should, calm down. So calm down. Stress can make you have a peptic ulcer, because once you are stressed, the gastric acid secretion in your stomach will increase more than normal. It will start eating up your stomach lining and ulcer will develop. And you may even start bleeding. Stress can make you have stroke. Stress can make you have a heart attack. Stress can make you depressed. Stress can even make you start losing memory the way I was talking about. Stress can make you start dressing differently. White shirts, the tie is upside down, and then somebody will see you and say, oh guys, everything all right? So there are lots of effect of stress, whether it is physical, whether it's cognitive, whether it's behavioral, or whether it is emotional. There are loads and loads of issues with stress, and we can deplete it with this battery depletion. Once our battery is getting to that orange-red level, everybody's looking for charger. So how many of us charge when you know you are going down? We just take everything on board. Okay, today is Wednesday. Let me push to Friday. Did they tell you that you can't die now? Why do you have to push till Friday when the warning signs are there? Headaches, you are tired, you are grunchy, you are becoming irritable. The way we have the battery draining, in fact, it will turn off if you don't charge it. We need to begin to start charging. We need to understand that our awareness is paramount. We need to understand that, you are your own biggest asset. And if you do not invest in yourself, you break down to have what we call burnout syndrome, you'll be useless to yourself and useless to the people around you. You don't want to take those chances. So of course, let us know how we can manage stress. And I'll round up with the last acronym. And then of course, let me bring in the question. The 5 A's of managing your stress. The first rule, you must be aware of what is stressing you. Sometimes human beings are the ones stressing us. And there's so much in our faces, in our inner circle, in our homes. And there's nothing you can do about it, because if you kill somebody, you go to jail. We all know you are lawyers. So how can we have a win-win situation when I know that this person is stressing me? I'll manage the situation and then of course ensure that we are cohabiting, coexisting without killing ourselves. So know what your stressors are. And one very good way of managing it is, you can do a stress journal if you don't know what your stress is. Stress journaling just means that put down like a calendar for the whole month and start putting down when you are stressed. Find out what caused your stress. Find out what time of the day is that stress. Find out where is that stress coming from. Within 2 weeks to 1 month, you start seeing a pattern. Some people will begin to start saying that 2 to 3 p.m. they are more stressed. You go down, check what you put down. Why? 2 to 3 p.m. My boss always will ask for this. So that means this is work-related stress and it's related to your supervisor or your manager or your, the head of chambers or whatever. So what is it about it that's making me stress about this, my boss? So if you're an employer of labor, please stop making it confrontational. Make discussion to be conversational. Because we know that is subordination, you lose your job and you all get stressed and all that. Make it conversational instead of confrontational. He's saying, do this. 10 things at the same time. Sir, I know you said I should do this and deliver it in the next 2 hours. Which are the most important amongst these 10 things? Oh, number 4, number 7, number 8. You do those ones. And then you make him understand what you are also bringing to the table. But of course, we do know that different people have their different personality. But that's one thing about life. You are not in control of that person's personality. What you are in control of is your emotions and how to make sure you work with this individual to get the desired result. So you have to find a way. It's not you going to call a pity party and start telling everybody the law firm, this my boss is this, or this person is, you don't need it. You find how to work together. And you cannot avoid stress. So please, when you use the word, I want to avoid stress, no, please. You know why? Let me tell you scientifically why you cannot avoid stress. When you sleep, you're also stressed. Your heart is going to pump blood in the 4 chambers of the heart around the body, carrying oxygenated blood. That's what is keeping you alive. The lungs are also operational, and definitely that's why you are breathing. The brain is also working. That's why you have some disjointed dreams. Sometimes you dream that you're a billionaire, then you wake up and find out that you're still in your bedroom. It happens, we understand. So, but the thing is that you cannot avoid stress. What it is, when you are facing stress, confront it. Know what stresses you out and deal with it. You can only adjust, adapt, and accept. And that is why Mr. Olomola said, look, I want to get to a destination. I couldn't, but I have to park somewhere. He adjusted and adapted to be, he sat down in his car and gave us his lovely presentation, technologically driven. So please don't try to avoid stress. You can only avoid stress. You know where you find those kind of people? In the mortuary. And you are not yet dead. So please use the word rightly. You can't avoid stress. You can adjust, adapt, and of course, accept. Other ways that you can manage stress is having the right information. Over-information can lead to anxiety. Under-information can make you feel guilty. I could have done things differently, but the right information will keep you focused. Being organized is another very beautiful way of managing stress. You know, even when you're doing a presentation right now, your table is looking scattered everywhere. Your brain is, you're overworking your brain. Your brain is trying to look for the pen, it's trying to look for a paper, it's trying for, but when you organize yourself, you also try as much as possible to manage your stress. Listen more, talk less. You know why God gave us 2 ears? So we can listen more, and 1 mouth. Talk less. You don't have to interject when you are talking to somebody. When you listen a lot to people, especially non-judgmental, you get the core of the discussion. And in that way, you're already thinking of, okay, how you can combat, how you can manage it. But when the person is talking you to you, okay, I understand. Is it not? No. Listen more, especially in the workplace. You may not like the person, but your stress level will increase more if you don't listen more to this individual and of course talk less. Don't catch other people's stress. I need to emphasize this. You get to the office, you greet your boss, it doesn't answer you. Then you now start saying, maybe the man wants to sack me. Oh, I don't know what I did to Mr. Lai Baba today. I don't know. Hey, God, is there any email? Did anybody? What is within your control as a value is to greet your boss, is to greet people around you. But it's definitely not within your control if he answers you or not. So don't catch other people's stresses. Every day, we all wake up with baggages, looking for where to upload them on other people. And if you are that kind of person, you'll be carrying other people's baggages, they will dump it on you and they move on. The mind is so powerful. Let me tell you the beauty about the mind. The mind is like a palace. If you go to any village, where is the most beautiful place? Okay, even if you say it's not the most beautiful place, where is the most recognized place, or where do you want to go to so that they can direct you to where you want to go if you don't know anybody in that community? Is it not the palace? So the mind is like a palace. So you have to treat your mind like a palace. It's such a powerful place that it controls everything. So once you understand how powerful your mind is, please do not allow people to work on your mind with dirty feet. If you allow people to work on your mind with dirty feet, you'll be messed up. You'll be stressed. And like I said, burnout is now a medical condition. Before we used to use the word loosely, but now it is a medically diagnosed condition. And when you burn out, it comes with a lot of consequences. Then, of course, how other ways can you manage stress? Seek for help. It's a sign of strength. Dear uncles, daddies on this forum, I do understand that there's this statement that men don't cry. If you are going through challenges, man up. Please learn to seek help. It is a strong sign of your strength, not necessarily a sign of weakness. And of course, don't pass judgment too easily. Let me give you a typical example. A subordinate and a supervisor. Two people. The supervisor, one supervisor comes and tells the subordinate, Q4 has started, you have not met your KPIs, you know what that means. You are lazy and you know what that means. Another supervisor comes to this same subordinate and says, Q4 has started, I know you haven't met your goals, and things may be big. How, is there any challenge? How can I help you? These are two people. This person is not passing challenge, passing judgment. This person is actually finding this. Why one person is passing judgment, the other person is saying, how can I help you? What is the challenge? I know what that does to a younger colleague in the workplace. There's a lot of workplace bullying and harassment, and these are the things that truly are also affecting us. I've talked about confrontation. One other way to also manage stress in the workplace is the ICU model. Not intensive care unit, the ICU. Meaning, if you are working with anybody, for any reason, this person has changed, you can come up to this person. Now you've identified the problem, that is the I. Connect with this individual. And when connecting with this individual, don't tell the person, you have come again. No, that's how you like behaving anyhow. This is it. No. Rather, you tell this individual, for the past 2 years, we've been working together. But for the last 2 weeks, and you've been this, you've been very jovial, you've been that, another. But in the last 2 weeks, I noticed X, Y, Z. Is there something you want to let me know? That is you. You understand and help the individual profile solution. Oh, I have financial issues. Have you met your bankers to restructure your loan? Oh, I have housing issues. Have you looked at where you must not stay in BGC or Ikoyi. If you have rent for Yaba, move. Can you live together with that? You have to live within your limit. You are profiling solution. Sometimes you don't even have solution. Let me just tell you. Sometimes you may not have solution, but the fact that you listen to that person is a solution in itself. So the ICU method is another very brilliant way of managing stress. One well-documented way of managing stress and helping individuals in the workplace. In Nigeria, we have only one law firm that has this service right now. I'm not going to mention the name. It's called the Employees Assistance Program. Some people may be assessing it, but they don't know the name. What Employees Assistance Program does to you and your employees in the workplace is that it creates that safe space for your employees to communicate with professionals on the other side if they are dealing with challenges they cannot really express in the workplace. People come to work, they have just experienced domestic violence. People come to work, the man has just lost his son. People come to work, the woman is having a child with special needs. There's so many of that challenges.
Hello, Dr. Memuna. Wow, I think our internet is a bit spotty. She appears to be frozen.
We can't hear her.
She's frozen at the moment. Okay.
She should come back. Oh. Please check your network.
I think it's from our end. Oh, she's been bumped out. She's dropped off.
Who bumped out?
His Zoom did. I think she's dropped off. Let's give her a minute to try and reconnect. But while we're waiting for her to come back, may I just...
on several occasions.
Susumo.
Wow, and she was just at the point of giving us the final cap on how to lead this. But let's quickly take some introductions, some recognitions as we wait for Dr. Memunat Yusuf Kadiri to connect back. We have the pleasure of having Mr. Ayo Olanriwaju, Nigerian Law, the editor of Nigerian Law Publications, join us tonight. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much. You've been on the call. Mrs. Adeyinka Are, all the way from the USA. We're glad to have you, madam. We have Mrs. Adedoyin Rosevival, SAN. We're so glad to have you, ma. We have Mr. Jubril Okutepa, SAN. Thank you for joining us tonight, sir. And Mr. Adegbamigbe Omole, the former chair of MBA Ikeja branch. Thank you for joining this webinar tonight, sir. Chief Richard Ahuna Rogo, former country rep, International Bar Association. We're glad to have you, Chief Richard. Then we also have Mrs. Phil Ineji, the chairperson of FIDA Lagos State Branch. We're glad to have you, ma'am. Do we have Dr. Memunat back?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Super glad to have you.
I don't know what happened. Will I say this is village people? Maybe.
Not yet.
and I can see Madam Yusuf Ali.
Yes. Mr. Yusuf Ali has been recognized, sir. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Memuna, we need to begin to wrap up now.
I'm rounding up. I think I may not even have to share this slide again. I will just, I was talking about the Employees Assistance Program, which is very key for managing, to improve wellness. Most of us have the HMOs, Health Management Organization, where you see your doctors and every other thing. But again, when we want to look at our emotional and psychological, financial wellness, that wheel of wellness is very key. That service is deployed. So in rounding up my discussion, this is LAWBREED Academy. So I'm going to go with this acronym, the last acronym, for us to have tips on how we can manage ourselves and our stresses and how to deal with the day-to-day life and of course strike a work-life integration or balance. But before I go into the last acronym, I also want to let each and every one know, let me even do the acronym before we go. So LAWBREED, how does it mean? The LAWBREED. L here, please limit your excessive exposure to media, especially news and social media. Very, very key. Wow. Some of us, our hearts are so fragile right now. By the time you are listening to or watching that, you're like, hey, what is happening? No. Schedule your, when you listen to news. Like me, I don't even go to NCTC because they release that news in the night when I'm supposed to be sleeping. Then they will now come and be telling you new cases.
Limit your exposure to social media.
Yes, limit your exposure. Excessive, the word. excessive exposure to news and social media. The A here is, like I said, ask for help. It's a sign of strength, not necessarily a sign of weakness. Please, we all do need help at one stage or the other in our lives. You may be a good litigation lawyer, you may not be a good corporate commercial lawyer. And so when the cases come, you know how to reach out for help with your colleague who can do it better. So asking for help. And then when it comes to our well-being and work life and everything, is very key to ask for help. What is the W? Welcome and embrace self-care and self-love. Self-care and self-love is self-preservation. Please never use it as selfishness. Because truly, if you don't have it, you can't give it. You must be able to be self-sufficient before you can give what you have. And that is when you truly know what it is for you to know that, yes, I can take care of myself. And then, of course, you can reach out to help another person. The B, yes, breaks. Let's take regular breaks from time to time. Yes, working remotely has come, and this is it. It has come, and it's not going to change anytime soon. Take breaks. For every 1 hour you are working, that you are scheduling to work at home, every 1 hour, take 5 to 10 minutes. The brain leaves your work mode to your diffuse mode. And when it leaves your work mode to your diffuse mode, what does it do to you? It gives you better clarity. It makes you relieve your stress a little. And what does it mean when I say take that 5 to 10 minutes? Move around. You are not a tree. Let the blood circulate. My colleagues that are orthopedic surgeons and the optometrists are telling us that their clinics are getting flooded with back pain, neck pain, because we are sitting down for so long. For you, if you are always zooming in, take time to zoom out. There is no award for the busiest person on earth. Take time to zoom out. Zoom in, zoom in. Zoom out sometimes. And when I say take regular breaks, that 5 to 10 minutes, call a friend, call somebody, move around. If you have a compound, open your doors, receive sunlight. It boosts your feel-good hormones. So that is the B. The R here is rest and sleep. Like I said, there's no award for the busiest person. We cannot all achieve 7 to 9 hours. Some of the retirees or older people in this forum may be achieving that. But the young 25, 30-year-old lawyer say, I'm sleeping my destiny away. I cannot be doing 7 to 9 hours. But know that the day you break down, your destiny will also calm down while you recover before you go back to it. So you also need to understand rest and sleep is very important. They help in also managing our stresses. The E here is exercise. 20, 30 minutes brisk walk. I didn't say you should go and be jumping around like Usain Bolt or Mary Oyali or Blessing Okagbari. There's no Olympics. I'm sure you all know. It's only the Premiership League they open for the men, to watch. And some of us that are football lovers. So the truth is, there is no Olympics, Commonwealth Games or whatever. So please exercise. It's very, when we talk about exercise, 20, 30 minutes brisk walk. Don't jump, don't run, bumpies, jumping jack, don't go and kill yourself. Just walk around. If you have a small room, your small room, you can walk around. If you are healthy enough, you can skip. If you have the luxury, to have a swimming pool, these are things you can do. Very key. The other is eating healthily. Don't just eat to fill your stomach. Eat healthily. Even COVID came with that and said, look, it will have to boost your immunity. Even if you have COVID, you will survive because your immunity has been boosted. So please, let your plate be colorful. I know you love eating rice, but from today and so hear that Dr. Kadri say, if you are eating rice, let it be 1 spoon and 2 spoons of vegetable soup. Put carrot, whatever. Daddy, please tell mommy to help you. Mommies on this forum, know that these are important for our children and every other thing. We need them. So please let your plate be colorful. Don't let it be white. And because most of the carbohydrate food are white. Yam, rice is white. So please make sure you eat healthily. The last but not the least is D. Do connect with your loved ones, family members, and of course, your colleagues. You are not an island. Social interaction has been found to prolong life. Social interaction has been found to keep you emotionally stable, grounded, and of course, productive. My final words, please, in as much as we do understand that health is wealth, also understand that we must be emotionally bankable. What does that do to us? The way you bank your money and deposit money in the bank, and then when it's time you need it, you go there to withdraw. Please also invest in your emotion and choose your currency. Choose the currency you want to invest your emotions in. And all this I talked about, the acronym for LAWBREED, these are things you can bank in your emotional bank. Adequate hours of sleep, eating right, the right exercises, connecting with the right people, you know, all that. So when you need it, it's easy to go there and say, let me write the check in the currency I can speak and withdraw. So there are days you sleep 10 hours, there are days you sleep 1 hour. So you need to be more emotionally bankable. Because the truth is, if you don't take care of yourself, who will? And if you don't do it now, then when? Thank you very much.
Wow, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Dr. Memunat Yusuf Kadiri. This is being so, it's practical, it's refreshing. I mean, you started on a hard note, very hard note. So it's been the few minutes of learning, unlearning, and then relearning. And for me, the icing on the cake is the LAWBREED acronym, which has captured everything you have said from the beginning to the end so beautifully. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm sure we're going to have you over again and again and again. And I now understand why you are such a hot cake, you know, everywhere you go. I've heard so much about you, but I'm not sure I've heard you, you know, any of your presentations like this. So thank you. I'm absolutely thrilled that I didn't miss this for anything. Because, you know, you started by telling us that wealth is not necessarily our priority rather. Our wealth, I mean, our health is our priority, because it's when we're in sound health, then of course we can pursue wealth making, processes or mechanism. So thank you for that link, that connection. I'm glad that we saved you for the last. Honestly, I'm so glad we did, because it's really an eye opener. You've given such insightful, tips on why there has to be a connection between how we're pursuing money. Money matters, but what about our well-being? You've shown us the connection, and you've made it so attainable. It's like there are low-hanging fruits all around us. Why won't we want to exercise? Why won't we want to eat well? Why won't we want to connect with our loved ones? Why don't we want to cut off social media and the media and all the exposure, and we keep zooming and zooming? Why don't we just zoom out? You know, why won't we interrogate our thoughts? You know, negative self-talk and things that we just do unconsciously, that becomes a lifestyle, you know, that just become our habits without us. I mean, you've spoken so much into, like, you're punching our hearts to say we need to just have that reorientation. Thank you so much. I could go on and on out of my excitement, but let me just, you know, cut myself short there, because I've seen that we have a couple of questions. So many commendations for you, madam, so many. But we picked one or two questions earlier on. There was one from Mr. Jubri Okupate. I'm sorry, I asked somebody to write that down. I think it's the SAN on, person was asking that, is there any dichotomy between psychological problems? I think psychological and another problem, yes. This was taken earlier on. I'm trying to pull that out now. Yes, is there any dichotomy between psychological and psychiatric problem? The person said recently he saw a medical facility tag psychological medicine outfit. Before now, the person used to think that psychological problems are purely social in nature. I don't know if you get the drift of this question.
Yeah. So the thing is, let us even look at it professionally. Mm-hmm. A psychologist is a BSc holder, you know, didn't go to medical school. A psychiatrist is a medical doctor who then went further to specialize as a psychiatrist. In Nigeria, psychologists don't write medication. Psychology will use their psychotherapeutic skills in counseling, in rendering therapy, and also rendering psychometric assessments. Psychiatrists, they are the only ones that can make that diagnosis medically and then of course prescribe medication. So psychologists can't get, even if you know that this is a pure case of depression, you must meet a psychiatrist who will write the medication. Litigation, people are now more aware. You cannot, the patients will come to you and say, look, you cannot infringe on my fundamental human right. I know my right. My relatives brought me here, right? But you know, the thing is that I must take charge of my own, you know, treatment. And we know we are still using the Lunacy Act of 1958. Don't let anybody hear. I don't know, we are still using the mental health bill has been revived now. We are hoping it will turn into an act with this 9th National Assembly. But the truth is that these are the Lunacy Act still, you know, acknowledges relatives helping to bring people. So when it comes to psychological and psychiatry, they are all under mental health professionals, but they do have their own roles to play. Like a psychiatrist can actually also have what we call trainings in psychological skills to help patients. But the thing is that it's always good for them to work together. Psychiatric nurses, psychologists, and of course the psychiatrist who is the medical doctor that can make the diagnosis and of course write prescription. So are there differences in the diagnosis? Even if it's a diagnosis of depression, the doctor is writing prescription, the psychologist will also make a diagnosis with psychotherapeutic skills or psychometric skills on the depression and how it's affecting the person's personality, self-esteem, the social life, and then of course they can help with therapy on that side. So it's a whole team work with the occupational therapist and all that. But the thing is that a diagnosis that is depression. The psychologist can manage, the psychiatrist can manage. If they need a medication, psychiatrist will be the only one that will write medication. But they are interwoven. But like I started the explanation, it's also that base of 4 years, 6 years, then you go for 1 year masters. If you want to be a psychiatrist, you go for another 6 years residency to be a psychiatrist. So yeah, those are some of the differences. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Memuna. Thank you. Very, very insightful. There's another question on how do we know where to go to when we need to have a mental health check, like your advice. I mean, those questions you throw out, I've never had one in my life. In fact, I didn't even know that if you're feeling well and okay, you need to have, but I don't miss my medical, the other medical checkup every year. But so who should one look for? Should you just walk into any hospital, or how do you handle that? Then there was some comments actually from Mr. Jubril Samuel Okutekpa, SAN, as to how can one handle the situation where when you get to some hospitals, if you don't know anybody there, you will not be treated well. So I just want you to answer this as a 2-in-1. Where do I go to? If I get up tomorrow to say I want to go for a mental health, and how do I just get the best services without necessarily knowing anyone at the facility?
So the beauty about this question is that you can't even just get up and say you want to go and, I know I have a mental health challenge or I'm going through some emotional issues. I want to go and see a psychiatrist. We have 1 psychiatrist to 1 million Nigerians. In fact, we have more Nigerian psychiatrists in the UK than in Nigeria. As it is now, there's an exodus of doctors running out of the country. I have 3 children. None of them want to be doctors. None. You just believe that doctors, they are not even well paid. Look at people are always in the news. Strike, mommy. They don't even appreciate the job I'm doing. So the thing is, if you are going through some emotional issues and whatever, the first point of call, if you must go to the hospital, assess your available resources that are within your control. Did you register with HMO? Do you have a family health physician? These are the first set of resources you should assess. The family health, your primary healthcare physician may be somebody who has been in the generation of your family, from your granddaddy to your daddy to you. So it's easy to even have your medical history. So when you go to such a person or such a hospital, possibility that, you know, they already know what the history is and all that. And I said, oh, I can't sleep well. Have been sad for the past 2 weeks. I'm having depression. It's easier for that doctor to refer you to an expert. So an expert to expert is always easier. They easily know who to just type and say, please, I need the psychiatrist in Ilupeju axis, or I need the psychiatrist in Lekki Aja axis. It's easier to go that way. Then, of course, if you have HMO, you see, that is even the easiest right now. Once you get to your HMO and your package covers that, most of us are already registered with some existing HMOs. So just look into their database and then, of course, refer you. But before you even assess those things, how have you harnessed the people around you? Each and every one of us must be able to build a healthy support system around us. Your healthy support system, they are the people you bounce back on when you're having these challenges. Sometimes just talking to them will take the issue away. But of course, sometimes we do understand that they may be in denial, or you may be in denial. They may be doubting your issue. They may trivialize your issues. And that's the reason why you say, I need to go to a place to go and assess. When it comes to having the right services, our personality also differ. The people may have an edifice, very beautiful. When you look at the aesthetics of the hospital, very nice, but poor customer services. It's not something I will sit down here and then either I want to vouch for my colleagues and say, no, what Mr. Jubilee said is wrong. No, it's just for you to, you know, if you go to the hospital, you don't get the right service. There's patients' rights now. We know that. You don't get the right services, move, goes to somewhere else. But I will encourage us to register with HMOs. HMOs have these facilities nationwide in their docket. And of course, if you know somebody who knows some people that they refer people to me, maybe I'm in this forum now, and then somehow you get a friend or a colleague or a family member who is going through issues. So, I remember one Dr. Kadri, and she's a psychiatrist, and you call me and you are in Kano. I'm not going to jump up and go to Kano. I have a WhatsApp group that has all the psychiatrists in Nigeria. It's for me to just go there and say, please, I need a psychiatrist in Kano. And I'll just call you and give you the name. In fact, we have yellow pages. I don't even need to call. I'll just go to our document and send you names. So you will now decide, I want a female psychiatrist or I want a male psychiatrist. So these are the kind of resources that we can leverage on. Where's our moderator? Mrs. Lai Baba, today our moderator is missing in action. You have to unmute yourself, ma'am.
It's your meat. Oh, yeah. Wow. Where is the moderator? Mrs. Lashaide.
This is what the new normal looks like. It's fine.
Yes, it is what the new normal, but we just have to make do with what we have. It's still better than nothing.
Exactly.
So technology has come to stay. We thank God for Zoom. We can have so many people I can see people from Kano, Jobe. I can see our customers from Enugu. That's the power of technology. Yeah. So all these little hiccups, we'll just have to manage and make do of that. Mrs. Lashaide, I hope you will come back soon. But I'm sorry, we're still trying to get Mrs. Lashaide. So, Doctor, I cannot thank you enough. It has been very well worth it.
Thank you.
I thank you for that ICU acronym, for the LAWBREED acronym. We are going to run with it. And I can assure you that everybody that participated today will get the slides and the recording of this program. I thank you so much for all the speakers, from Mrs. Toyin Sonny to Mr. Ajibola Olomola, to Dr. Kadri, you have done this as your corporate social responsibility. Just like we have done it as the corporate social responsibility too, we are thankful that you have partnered with us. You have shared this burden with us to let Nigerian lawyers know that we need to now start taking care of ourselves more. We are people who water. You see the stickers everywhere, ask a lawyer, ask a lawyer. But lawyers too need to be fed, they need to be supported. So this evening, we thank the three of you for this insightful session. Is Mrs. Lasha in the back now? Come and take over your job. Okay. Okay, so I hand over back to you because it's not yet time for vote of thanks. But I've done a part of it so that we don't go into 9 o'clock like the other time. I'm seriously looking at it. But it has been well worth it, really. It has been well worth it. Thank you, Mr. Lasha. Please take over so that we can round up.
Thank you.
Dr. Kadri, again, thank you for you to have stayed this long. I thank you. We thank you. We thank you. We thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, ma. Thank you so much, Dr. Munat, Yusuf Kadri. It's been such a wonderful, wonderful delight hearing you and you sharing all those practical tips. Thank you for that. We'd like to announce that you can have other questions, comments, or just, if you need to engage further with LawBreed, by lawbreedacademy@gmail.com, lawbreedacademy@gmail.com, or mails@lawbreed.com. We'll post it on the chat room. But we also just quickly take some cognitions before we hand over back to Mrs. Adejoke Babatunde for the vote of thanks. We have Professor Abiola Sani here with us. Prof, we greet you, sir, from the Faculty of Law, UNILAG. We also have Dr. Okewo from Canada, all the way from Canada, joining this webinar tonight. So we thank you so much. And of course, to all of our distinguished participants, we thank you, our learned silk. We thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm afraid we won't be able to take all the questions. We have a couple of questions, but what we said is that we're going to type the Gmail account for LawBreed Academy so that we can take your questions, and we know we'll definitely be engaging Dr. Memunat further, as well as the other speakers, should we have questions to ask them. So I'd like to just hand over back to Mrs. Lai Babatunde. Yes, please, for the vote of thanks. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Am I on? Okay.
Yes, you are.
I'm sorry. I'm still. I didn't realize I was on already. Good evening, distinguished learned students. In fact, I can see that there are quite a number of learned SCN still on. Thank you very much. Our distinguished colleagues, we wouldn't have had this session without you. We thank you that we called and you came. When we were going to do this, we're like, people are tired of webinars, people are, why are we going to, is this going to be well worth it? But we thank you for coming. I hope and trust that it has not been a waste. I trust that we have gained a lot. My notebook is full. Wow. My notebook is full. So again, I have mentioned it before, our speakers have made us proud. Thank you that we chose you. We thank you, Mrs. Toyinsoni, who has gone off for another meeting. We thank you, Mr. Ajibola Olomola, accountant, lawyer, tax person. In fact, he's so many things rolled into one. And I wanted him to talk about how lawyers can bill today, and he didn't go there. But I guess we still have opportunities. He was also supposed to talk on retirement, because we have quite a number of our seniors here, and looking forward to a time where we can plan better for our future. He couldn't touch on that, but we were so determined that we won't get to 9 o'clock today. That's why we have to sign off. We have to go now so that we can do some other things. Once again, we thank you for coming. I was going to talk about our products. That is all our publications. We are law publishers, and we are publishers of the judgments of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, the authorized publishers, although there are other law publishers too, and we have other law publications. I won't bore you. I will just send to your mail if you allow me. I will send to you all the list of our publications for all our customers that are here. We thank you for keeping us in business. Quite a number of our subscribers, I can see you. I thank you for your patronages over the years. I invited Mr. Gani Fani especially. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it. One of our first 5 subscribers 20 years ago, and he's still on. I wanted to recognize him especially, but I can't see him. But I say that thank you. Again, briefly, I also thank God for, there are 2 of our subscribers that we lost this year. I feel personally pained about it. Alaji Inua, a former attorney Kaduna State, who was also a fond customer of LAWBREED. He was one of our sponsors, really. I mean, he takes our business like his own. Unfortunately, we lost him this year. I pray that his soul rests in perfect peace. I also remember Mr. Dureke Wisdom, who is our point man in the East. All our subscribers in Enugu and Co. I remember Dureke Wisdom today because he's such a loyal customer. Anytime I post on social media, he will comment and give testimonials about products. I pray that he rests in peace and God bless his family and provide for him, for his family and comfort him. So 2 of our customers we lost this year, I pray that they rest in peace. Like I said, we will send our list of products to your boxes in case you are interested. We would love to have you on board. I also want to recommend all our speakers to you. In fact, when I met Dr. Memunat, the person that introduced her to me told us of all the people she succeeded in saving from suicide. Only God saves, truly. But through her effort, she has been able to encourage people to continue to live on. I thank you, Dr. Memuna, for what you are doing. I'm so proud of you. God bless you. What do I say other than to say thank you? Because I'm looking at the time. We have said not tonight, just like the last time. So we have to round up. Thank you again for coming. We hope when we call on you again, you will come around. Tell your friends. Become a LAWBREED lawyer. Tell your friends of what LAWBREED Academy is offering. And what else do I say? Just to say thank you. I hope that we will make use of all that we have had. That is going to be our joy. Everything we have had today, I pray that we'll make use of this and then become more and become better and become purposeful and become more productive. Once again, thank you. Thank you for your coming. And I say a very good evening. Again, thank you to our speakers. We couldn't have paid you. Only God can reward you. Thank you, Mrs. Abiola Lasseinde, for anchoring so very well. I truly appreciate you, my sister. Thank you. I don't want to mention names because I don't want to get into trouble. But thank you all very much for coming. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. We thank you more.
Thank you very much. I want my CEO to still say something. please. So that
well, our time is fast spent. I only want to add my appreciation to my wife's thanks. My wife and the BCO, we appreciate the sacrifice that you have made. It's quite an encouragement to us. Dr. Wemula, God bless you. Thanks so very much. My colleagues of the inner bar, thanks for your support always. And my colleagues of the outer bar, where we appreciate you. Thank you and God bless.
Amen.
The moderator, I hope you have not been shut out again.
No, sir, I'm here.
Thank you for the fantastic job that you have done, Mr.
Thank you so
Olomola,
much, sir.
and Mrs. Sani as well. We are so grateful for your time and for the wonderful evening that we have had. Thank you so very much. God bless.
Thank you so much, sir. On that note, we want to thank everyone and wish you a lovely, lovely Saturday evening. Enjoy the rest of your time with the family. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Good night, everyone. And we
thank you,
thank LAWBREED too.
Thank you.
The Lord bless you.
Thank you, my brother.
This is wonderful. This is wonderful. The Lord bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you.
It's wonderful.
Thank you for your wonderful lectures.